Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. First big day of the baseball season right now on ESPN. Going to the fourth inning, the Yankees lead the Brewers 2-1 on home runs by Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe. Second inning, the Orioles lead the Blue Jays 1-0 on an Adley Rutschman home run. The start of the Twins-Cardinals game in St. Louis being delayed by rain. Two teams playing home games in minor league parks this year. The A's and the Rays. ESPN's Buster Olney.
For baseball to have 2 of the 30 teams playing in minor league parks is terrible. Can you imagine if the A's, who could be better than what we expect, were to make it deep into the playoffs?
Buster Olney on game night. We've got the Dodgers and Tigers here on ESPN Radio starting at 6:30 Eastern. In the Sweet 16 tonight, 2 of the record's 7 SEC teams on the court. Alabama plays BYU, Arkansas against Texas Tech. The Flyers fire head coach John Tortorella in his third year on the job. The team has lost 6 straight, and 11 of 12 they'll likely miss the playoffs again.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Friday. Could Jackson Dart be drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders? Will we see 4 quarterbacks go in the first round? My answer just might surprise you. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Decision Critical, Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You suck. And a Mr. Toby Tumbly. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. You heard the big voice guy there from ESPN Sweet 16 tonight. Michael LaTulip from Field of 68 will be with us next hour. Kendall Rogers, Hour 3, talk some SEC baseball. A lot to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
LSU football Tigers continue rolling through spring practice, and on Thursday, Blake Baker met with reporters after practice. And actually, it was interesting because Baker met with reporters on Thursday, but Wednesday morning, he was a guest on Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. And there was something that he said on Wednesday morning that struck me more than anything during the course of that 15-minute interview or so. And it was when they started talking about Harold Perkins, which clearly is going to be such an integral part of this team in the season. I want the whole thing, by the way. I want that whole thing, by the way. We play this, but please grab the whole thing. First of all, this was the part where he started talking about about Harold Perkins and the effect of the injury on Perkins' big picture.
Man, Perk is extremely locked in, and I said this when it happened, and I didn't mean it in a negative light, but in some ways, being hurt might have been the best thing that ever happened to him. Kind of just sit back, let the game unfold from a mental standpoint in front of him. But the attention to detail, the work that he's putting in with Jack Marucci downstairs with the VR, obviously not being able to get the physical reps on the field, he could easily take it easy and just come to the hour film meeting that we do every single day, and that be it. But he's going above and beyond and answering questions, and he's extremely locked in. So I think he's going to have a big year next year.
The other part of that on the back end is the other part that I want to get to. I'll have Muse grab it, is where he talks about Perkins and the expectation he had coming in. I'll get to that in a second, but let me address the first two things that he said there. One, about the injury being the best thing. And the way he set it up, he was very clear. He's like, I don't mean this to sound as a negative. Whenever it happens, obviously you're talking about a player being injured, but think of it in these terms. Sometimes when a quarterback's struggling and they pull him for a series and they say, man, just go sit and watch. Like, just watch the game unfold from the sideline and process it differently. When you're not in the fire making those decisions, maybe you can see things from the sideline you don't see on the field. And that was kind of the vibe I got from that comment from Blake Baker about Harold Perkins. Like, instead of him being caught up in the wash with these 300-pound linemen every play, like, just go stand on the sideline and watch for a minute. Maybe that'll help process the game. The other thing he said there that was pretty fascinating was talking about the VR. So if you remember, they have that VR room in football ops, and Jaden Daniels kind of made us all aware of this because he would basically go simulate the game. And I've seen the room. It's, if you're where we go for interviews into the team room, you pass this room. It's a glass wall, and you look in, and it's, 10 yards wide, maybe 5 yards long. It's a small room, but you could stand in there with a screen in front of you, and you can simulate the game. So here you have Harold Perkins not getting physical reps because he physically can't be on the field, but he's putting these VR goggles on and getting all the mental reps that you would otherwise, training his mind to play the position, which I think is really pretty awesome. This was the rest of that cut that Baker said again in the interview with Hester and T-Bob.
And I don't want to I think part of the problem, in my opinion, has been the expectation that's been put on him. And obviously with a player that talent and that caliber, we still got to remember that he's 20 years old or whatever he is. So, but I do think he's going to have an outstanding season. I think he's really focused, and I think between him and West and Devon and Witt and some of these Ty Singletons coming along, and then we get 3 more freshmen. I think they're all gonna complement each other really, really well. So I don't think the onus is going to be on, here's Harold Perkins. He's the star of the defense. I think we have a lot of really, really good players in that room that feed off of each other, make each other better.
Think about that. So, let me say it a different way. For 2 years after Perkins exploded onto the scene as a freshman, our conversations about LSU defensively have started and stopped with Harold Perkins. Is he going to play? All last offseason. Remember, when they hired Blake Baker and the word was they were moving him back to off-ball linebacker, the whole offseason, can Harold Perkins successfully make the switch? It was the number one talking point for the entire defense. Coming off an historically bad year, the number one talking point wasn't about the secondary, wasn't about Blake Baker. It was Harold Perkins moving off the ball again. Right now, nobody's talking about Harold Perkins. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. It's just there is an out of sight, out of mind component here. He played 4 games, missed the rest of the season. They went through this offseason where they went and brought in a glut of talent at every position defensively except linebacker. And, man, we're talking about DJ Pickett, and we're talking about Mansour Delane, and we're talking about Patrick Payton and Jack Pyburn. We're talking about all these guys defensively. Tamarcus Cooley playing safety. And we're not even, you're 5, 6, 7 talking points defensively before you get to Harold Perkins, and you forget the fact that this is a freakishly athletic dude that finally, after 2 years of moving him around in a position that doesn't fit his skill set, finally he's going to be moving back into a role that actually does fit him. So when Blake Baker met with reporters on Thursday, this is the first time. But now, Brian Kelly, I just went like Les Miles, Ed Ogeron in my brain from the, I was like sequentially, Nick Saban going through sequentially all the coaches. Brian Kelly had talked about Harold Perkins moving to the star, but this is the first time I've heard Blake Baker talk about why they're moving Harold Perkins to star.
I just think the star is so versatile, and quite frankly, you know, we sat down at the end of the year, and I said, where are you most comfortable? And he said the star, and so he's got that capability to still allow us to be flexible from a coverage standpoint. But I do think that he's a really, really good space player. I think, again, with that position, you're able to do a lot of different things with him, and so it'll also keep offenses not necessarily knowing where he's going to line up every single snap, you know, whether it be pressure, whether it be coverage, whether it be on the line of scrimmage. So we're able to do a lot of different things. That's kind of like the little secret sauce in this defense. The more position flexibility that guy gives you, the more versatile we can be on defense.
Yes! Yes! And the truth shall set you free. Y'all, for 2 years, we've all been saying this, and I get it. I get it. Perkins wanted to be a three-down linebacker in the NFL. He wanted to play off the ball. I get it. And you know what? I want all my hair back. And I want to be 6'3". And I want to run a 4.3 40. None of that's going to happen. Okay? And now all that stuff is more likely for Harold Perkins because he's a great athlete. I'm not. But the point being, like, being self-aware and understanding what you are in anything in life, if you're a great football player or if you're a dentist or if you're a machinist or whatever you do, having self-awareness in life is a huge part of anybody's success. Understand what you are and be great at the thing you're great at. Yes, Harold Perkins in space. Yes, he's a queen piece on the chessboard. Yes, you can move him around and defenses know where he's going to be. You line him up in the slot. Is he coming on a blitz? Is he dropping into coverage? Is he playing the run? Is he going to run out space? Yes, he is a versatile defensive player. Stacking him in the middle of a defense and having him shed 300-pound offensive linemen never made sense, no matter how many times they tried to explain it, and I understand why they did it. You have a player like Harold Perkins. He wants to play off the ball. He wants to be a three-down linebacker in the NFL, wants to show the NFL what he can do. It's like in baseball, if you got a guy that's a power hitter but trying to prove he can play a position. So you stick him at third to see if he can do it, and you realize, man, he's got two left feet and and a bad arm. Like, do the thing you're great at, man. And the fact that Blake Baker said Harold came after the season and said, I want to play the star. Great. Get back to doing the thing you do awesome. Like a freaking cheetah in space, tearing people down as they're trying to get to the edge, coming on a blitz and annihilating quarterbacks, turning and covering and dropping into coverage and intercepting passes. Yes, do all those things. Because that's what's going to help best help this team win in 2025. And like we just said, man, there's a lot of people that aren't like it was break the huddle, wear 7. I think it'll be like that this year, at least not at the onset. There's too many things on this defense to worry about. It's going to make him even more versatile. Loved hearing that from Blake Baker about Harold Perkins. Get him healthy, get him right, get him ready to roll week 1 at Clemson. Okay, y'all, it's AFR. Show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, and the official beer of the Tigers. LSU, Mississippi State tonight from the box. You head to the box. Make sure you got plenty of ice cold Bud Light there at the concession stand, or if you're going to be at your house or wherever you may be, drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light. Nothing goes together with boils like buds. Bud Light, and boils, mud bugs. Make sure you got plenty of it. The official beer of AFR, Bud Light. Okay, y'all, speaking of LSU, Mississippi State, game 1 is tonight. I'll give you a little thumbnail preview. Kendall Rogers will be here in hour 3 with us as well, so we'll get his thoughts on this series. But I'll give you my initial takeaway of Tigers and Bulldogs from the box. Stick around, it's AFR.
After further review,
we are brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air. Where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. Give them a buzz, y'all, at 752-0001. Make sure you schedule that pre-season AC tune-up. Carol Caldwell sent this 5-star Google review. Cody was very polite and friendly. He got his work done. He explained everything to us. A very nice young man. Indeed, Cody is a very nice young man. And he did great work for Carol, do great work for you, or any of the technicians that come out to your house from River City's 1 Hour Air. Because at River City's 1 Hour Air, they do an amazing job of continuing education and also for their technicians, but also making sure their technicians are well paid, that have the best benefits, so they recruit the best people and retain the best people. So you never have to worry about who's coming into your house or the quality of the work they're going to do. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001, 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Glad you're hanging out with us here. LSU, Mississippi State from the box. Game 1 will be tonight. Game 2 Friday. Of course, Game 3 Saturday. We are keeping an eye on the weather. There's a lot of bad weather in the area on Friday and Saturday. So, of course, I mean, you don't need me to break this news to you, but there's always the possibility that you could have game alterations with the weather expected what it is. So keep an eye out for that. If we hear anything, of course, we'll pass it along to you. We'll have all the info up also at LouisianaSports.net. One thing I would recommend you do, if you haven't yet, download the 104.5 ESPN mobile app and turn on notifications, because whenever we have breaking news or anything like that, that's how we push breaking news on our mobile app. So you have to go turn on notifications. Look, some people love notifications. Some people are bothered by them. You do you, but that, just as an FYI, that's where we send out push notifications, is through our mobile app. So if you download the 104.5 ESPN mobile app, turn on notifications, so whenever we get any of that info, we'll pass it along to you. Tigers and Bulldogs, interestingly enough, Chris Lemonis, one of only a couple of coaches that have a winning record against Jay Johnson since he's been in the SEC. Mississippi State and the Tigers, LSU had posted 9 straight series wins over State. It was one of those odd things where, despite the fact that that's a good program, there was a long stretch during Paul Mainieri's tenure that they dominated the Arkansas series as well. Sometimes you just have these these statistical anomalies like this. But Mississippi State won 2 of 3 over LSU in 2023 in Baton Rouge, and then 2 of 3 in Starkville a year ago. Remember, that's how LSU opened the conference schedule, and we were all thinking, man, what a nice way to ease into the conference schedule, and lo and behold, you lose 2 out of 3 to Mississippi State. It's kind of a foreshadowing of what was to come in the first half of conference schedule. This has a decidedly different feel to it, if nothing else, just because of the way the starting pitching lines up. And I know whenever we start talking about pitching, there's going to be this general eye roll and groan. But it is important to note that LSU's starting pitching has been pretty good, especially relative to what you'd normally think. Like, we don't even talk about it much, but in 2023, that great championship team, like, you went the bulk of the season without having a third starter. And Ty Floyd really had an up-and-down season. He was great at the end of the year, obviously. But outside of Skeens, you weren't settled. It's very rare in college baseball that you have a dominant, like 3 dominant guys that are part of your rotation. So, adjust accordingly. But I do want to talk about how Chris Lemonis is approaching this series because he's making a decision for tonight's game that I think does shape how the series sets up. But first, here was Jay Johnson when he met with reporters on the eve of the series talking about this Mississippi State team that's coming to the box.
Very talented. The main pitcher does a great job of getting swings and misses and getting people out. I think he was SEC Pitcher of the Week last week. Very talented lineup at the top, particularly, Ace Reese, very dangerous hitter. Hunter Hines, I've always thought he was one of the better guys in the league over the last few years. Good bullpen, like really good arms out of the bullpen. I think they're a super regional Omaha caliber team and should be another great weekend.
So State was swept at home the opening weekend by Texas. Last week, they went to Oklahoma and lost the series. So they're 1-5 so far through 2 weekends. And 2 things that you heard Jay Johnson say there. One was, their best arm, and then he also talked about Ace Reese. Well, their top guy is Pico Cone. And Chris Lemonis is making an interesting decision to hold Pico Cone for Game 2. So really, when you move and play these Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, you kind of have a decision to make, right? Do you keep your guys in their normal order, or do you do your best to keep them on their normal day? So, of course, Cade Anderson is LSU's Friday night guy, but Cade Anderson's going to throw today. So on 1 day short rest, he'll throw on Thursday. Chris Lemonis is choosing instead to keep his Friday guy on Friday. Well, what's interesting about the way they're doing this is, so Pico Cone, who's a senior lefty, will throw against Ianson. Last week, their Game 2 guy, Ben Stevens, only lasted an inning, got shelled, and then Evan Sierri came out of the bullpen and threw the next 3 innings. So Sierri, who's a bullpen arm, is going to start tonight opposite Cade Anderson. And if you just look at the lines, Cade Anderson's got a 2.65 ERA, 56 strikeouts over 34 innings pitched, just 8 walks. Sierri only has 11 2/3 innings pitched on the season. And 3 of them were last week in relief on Saturday. So 15 strikeouts, 3 walks, good arm, just a bullpen arm. This isn't I know we talked about it last week with Riojas from Texas being a bullpen arm who had, I think his long outing of the season was maybe 3 2/3. And he ended up extending, I think, as LSU had a poor approach against him. I understand what they were doing, trying to be aggressive early in counts, but it allowed him to extend deep because they swung early in counts. Anyway, the point being, this is a matchup with Cade Anderson, your best guy, going against effectively a bullpen day for Mississippi State where you have got to win this game. It's not that Chris Lemonis is conceding Game 1, but he's putting himself in what he feels is the best position to split the first 2 games and then give himself a chance to win a rubber match in Game 3. Weird things happen in baseball. Maybe Evan Sierri goes out there tonight, throws a complete game no-hitter. I doubt that's going to happen. I doubt very seriously. But it's baseball and it's weird and things happen. LSU has an overwhelming odds to win this game behind Cade Anderson. You've got to do it because you're throwing your best guy against their bullpen guy. Tomorrow becomes really the swing game of the series because it'll be Ianson, who's been very good. Anthony Ianson has been effective. He's not been efficient. So his ability to extend deep into games has been limited largely because he throws a ton of pitches. But when you look at Ianson, 46 strikeouts and just 8 walks, That's in 32 innings pitched. So Ianson's been effective, just not efficient. So if you get 4 innings out of Ianson or get you into the 5th and you're in the ball game or you have a lead, great. But then you got to turn it over to the bullpen and see what can happen. Obviously, with them holding Cone, who's a senior lefty, for Game 2, in theory, the advantage shifts to State in Game 2. And then in Game 3, it's Chase Shores against Carson Legion, who's a senior righty, who's been around a long time. He's got an ERA pushing 5. Very similar statistically this year so far anyway to Chase Shores. Chase Shores is younger with a higher ceiling. Legion's an older guy, lower ceiling than Chase Shores. But again, still a good veteran arm. You got to win this ball game, like on Thursday. You've got to win on Thursday behind Cade Anderson. That's just not even a debate. But then obviously the thing we're all going to be keeping an eye on is the bullpen and how LSU manages this as they move throughout the rest of the weekend, because that was an issue. Like how you managed the bullpen last weekend was a problem. Throwing Zach Cowan on Friday with a 6-run lead ended up being the wrong decision. It got you home on Friday, but you had no strike throwers available in the bullpen on Saturday when you had a 3-run lead and then ultimately a 7-6 lead as well, and you blew 2 leads because you didn't have anybody there that you felt comfortable enough to give him the ball to get you home. Jay was asked about the bullpen struggles and sort of equated it to just growing pains, these guys needing to get more experience.
I've said this before, the best coach any player ever has is playing time and experience, and it gets lost sometimes because of with talented players, but they haven't been there, like in a lot of ways. But I think if you ask them if they believe they're going to succeed, they believe they're going to succeed, and I believe that they're going to succeed. So I think because of their talent and all of the things, like we all expect them to do well, and they're going to do well, and in a lot of cases are doing well.
We're going to keep an eye on how Jay manages the bullpen this weekend relative to what they did a week ago. Like if LSU has a lead late in this game, do you go back to Zach Cowan to get you home, or do you try to piece it together to preserve your better arms, your trusted arms for leverage spots? We'll find out tonight. Hopefully LSU's offense cooperates against a bullpen day for State. They go put up a bunch of runs, and this is a relatively easy win for the Tigers, and it sets you up to have your best arms available the rest of the weekend. Now, Jay also talked about Ace Reese, and Ace Reese is their third baseman. He's a Houston transfer. He has been injured, and like last week, it was like shades of Kirk Gibson, him just hobbling around. But Reese is a very good hitter, and he's got good pop in the bat, so that's going to be one worth watching. Reese leads Mississippi State in doubles, homers, and RBI. But, again, he is hobbling around out there at third base. So that injury is worth watching. The other thing that's going to be notable, and wait and see how this goes whenever the lineups are posted. So Ross Highfill is their catcher. He's a very good defensive catcher. He got hit in the face last week, and so he was replaced by Joe Powell, who is not nearly the defensive catcher Highfill is. So we're going to see if Highfill goes this weekend. If he does, that alters the game defensively for Mississippi State. If Powell is catching instead of Highfill, then I would expect the LSU to be far more active on the base paths. Not to say they won't be already, because LSU has been more active this year on the base paths than I think they've ever been under Jay Johnson. But that's one of those moments or one of those indicators that does change strategically what you're looking to do. So keep an eye behind the plate. Who gets to start here for for Mississippi State behind the plate in Game 1 and throughout the series? Is it Highfill coming back from being hit in the face, or is it Powell who will replace him as he did last weekend after Highfill was hit in the face in Game 1? So a couple things to file away. And, with tonight with Sierra going, who's a junior righty, I would anticipate we're going to see Jay do what he's done with the lefties. You'll probably see Pearson DH, Jake Brown in right field with them throwing Sierra, who's the righty. When Cone throws the lefty on Friday, we're likely going to see Braswell at third and Fry DHing. So, I would assume tonight Reeves would be at third base for LSU to put another left-handed bat in the lineup against the right-handed starter, Evan Sierra. So just a few things to keep an eye on as we inch closer to first pitch here. A 7 o'clock first pitch tonight for LSU and Mississippi State. Hopefully the lineups will be posted before we're off the air. We can run through it, but we'll do that later in hour number 3. Kendall Rogers will be here as well in hour 3. We'll get his take on LSU and Mississippi State. Okay, y'all, brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. I was over at the parish office earlier today, and Kayla, who does awesome work in our office at at Parrish. I always have this joke when I walk in. Christina's office is immediately to the right when you walk in. It's one of those like blacked out windows, so she can see out but you can't see in. So I always just kind of jokingly walk up and I like dig stuff out of my eye or fix my collar or just I know she's looking right at me, and it was just a joke. But Kayla today asked me, she's like, "Oh, did you mess up your contact?" I was like, "Kayla, I don't wear contacts. I had LASIK, best thing I ever did." She goes, "Oh my God, last night I shoved my contact up above my eyelid." If you wear contacts, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When the contact slides off your eye and it goes up into your eyelid, like behind your eye almost. You want to talk about miserable trying to dig that thing out of your eye? Paula, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, Paula had LASIK too. Don't have to deal with that no more. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You want to be done with that forever? Like to never have that as a consideration again for the rest of your life? Get LASIK. Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com. All right, y'all, happy Thursday. Glad you're here. Thursday shows are brought to you by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. We'll go around the SEC. One of the legendary voices of college football is leaving the microphone after 2025. We'll get to that here in just a quick second. We'll let you hear more from Blake Baker. We got NFL win totals that were posted today. I'll tell you what the odds makers think of the New Orleans Saints. Hint, it ain't great. We've got updated college football playoff odds as well. So ton to do throughout the course of the show today. Glad you're with us. We'll go around the SEC next.
After further review.
Okay, y'all, tomorrow is another Friday in Lent. A lot of people are abstaining from meat, looking for those seafood options. Rouse's, great place to go. Remember, rouses.com. Download the Rouse's app or get into any of the Rouse's locations. There's 70 of them from Lake Charles to Orange Beach, Alabama, and points in between. We talked about the seafood spectacular. It's the seafood bar. You get your plate, fill it up with whatever you want. Dozens of seafood options, $9.99 a pound. They also got a boiled crawfish, boiled shrimp. And how about this? Fresh, whole North Carolina black sea bass for just $5.99 a pound. They've also got black sea bass fillets for $10.99 a pound. You can get the whole fish or you can get the fillets. They got them for you at Rouse's. If you're looking for those seafood options, no place better to go than Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouses.com. Rouses. This feels like home.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
What we need to do is come back here more often. These are the two most unbelievable finishes. A forced deep field goal, and now Alabama does not have athletes on the field. They've got offensive linemen on the field. And once Chris Davis turns the corner, the only thing that was going to stop him was he fell down.
Gary Danielson retiring after the 2025 season. It'll be his 36th overall as a TV analyst, his 20th at CBS. He'll turn 74 in September. Of course, worked for many years with Vern Lundquist, who retired after 2016. Then with Brad Nessler ever since. The SEC no longer partnered with CBS. This past season, CBS picked up their contract with the Big Ten. So after one more season with calling the Big Ten, Gary Danielson will step away from the mic. Charles Davis will replace him. He's been working on CBS's number 2 NFL team alongside Ian Eagle since 2020. So J.J. Watt will replace Davis on the number 2 broadcast for CBS, while Charles Davis will become the CBS college football analyst alongside Brad Nessler starting in 2026. It was interesting because 2 years ago at SEC Media Days, so not this past summer of 23, when we were in Dallas, sat down with Gary Danielson at Media Days, and among the things we talked about was how much longer he wanted to keep working. Here's what he told me back then.
It's coming to an end. I mean, it's time for somebody else. Somebody said, "Are you going to miss it?" And I'm gonna say no for one important reason. It's time. You know, this will be my 34th year of doing this. I started in 1990. I've been doing elite level games with Hall of Fame announcers, Vern, Brent, now Brad, the A game for 33 years. But the reason I said I'm not going to miss it is I've had my run, and I hate to say it, but when I dream, and it's why I respect the game so much, and I give so much to when I do a game, but when I dream, I still dream as a player. I don't dream as an announcer. It's
interesting, man. It was a very enlightening conversation. I enjoyed having Gary sit down with us a couple of years ago when he did. Again, that was prior to the 23 season when he joined us, but knew the end was near then, and now is announcing before this season that it will be his last. In that same interview, though, you might remember this. In that same interview, this was fun. This clip made the rounds, but he told a Les Miles story, and this was back in that 06 season when Glenn Dorsey got injured, and Gary said on the air that Glenn Dorsey shouldn't play anymore, and he kind of recounts that and then an interaction he had with Les after.
Les got really mad at me. Really mad at me.
He's got really mad at all of us
I
at some
know.
point.
And I had to go meet him privately, and it was over Glenn Dorsey. And I had said publicly I didn't think he should be playing.
I remember that, yeah.
And
it was Auburn game. Wasn't it?
Yes,
It was Auburn.
yes. Mm-hmm. And I went down on the field. I didn't think he was ready, and I said something like, "This is when some adult needs to step in and protect it." And Les was really upset. So I met him, and Les had his finger in my chest because Les. And I was going, Les. My tackle with the Lions played with you. He went on spring break with you. Do you want me to talk about spring break in Florida when you were at Michigan?
Oh, no. Yes, let's hear that.
Because I know everything about your time in Michigan. He just looked at me and no, but I loved Les.
I still want to hear what happened in spring break when Les was at Michigan. Now, that's a hanging Chad, right? That's a dangling participle. That's a cliffhanger that doesn't need to be hung, Gary. We need to learn the end of that story. So many great calls, though. Listen, I know there's a lot of LSU fans that have had this awkward relationship with Gary Danielson. I think it all is rooted back in that Glenn Dorsey story But he's the best. He's as good an analyst as there is in college football. I'd always hear the criticism of Gary Danielson that, well, he just loves Alabama. No, Alabama won a buttload of football games, and so because CBS had the number one pick, they called a lot of Alabama football games. There were a lot of good Alabama teams. We wouldn't say how bad they are, lie. They're great. Of course he's going to say that. But in any event, Gary was great. He's great at calling games, great at analyzing, knowing what was coming, explaining the situation. Still at the top of his game, but his final season. This was the call, by the way, of Vern and Gary. Avert your ears for some of you and you LSU fans. This was the 2009 Clock It game when LSU played Ole Miss. This was that end sequence.
You don't have time to ground the ball. Terrence Tolliver, and here, what are they doing? You don't have time to ground the ball. What are they doing? Play. Game over.
Oh, man. Boy, Les almost didn't survive that, y'all. I mean, when the statute of limitations lifts and people start talking about stuff, there were people, significant people willing to write checks, boarding the plane, ready for it to be done then. And honestly, Governor Bobby Jindal at the time was going through a lot of cuts in higher education, was worried about optics of buying out a football coach when you're cutting higher ed. And ultimately, that's why Les hung around. But my goodness, did they turn around in 2010 and in 2011 as well? But that was maybe the low point back in 2009 with that Clock It game. Anyway, Gary Danielson, the voice of many of our college football Saturdays, walking through his final season on the mic at CBS. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. We're brought to you by Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Terry will be in studio tomorrow, and we will announce our next big marketing campaign, our next big giveaway. We gave away $5,000 last month, and a lot of fun to do that. Tomorrow when Terrio's here, we'll announce our next big giveaway, so make sure you're here for that. But most importantly, if you have issue with your roof, think you might, commercial or residential, we'd love to help you out. Especially if you own or operate a commercial property, be sure to ask about our commercial maintenance program. Matt Pearson is our commercial roofing manager. He's just absolutely the best. There's not a single thing about roofing he doesn't know. But in effect, what I've learned is that business owners or commercial property owners go to great lengths to avoid paying the very cost, the giant cost of replacing your commercial roof. So the maintenance program is designed to keep that cost down and extend the life of your current roof to put off for as long as possible that full roof replacement. So we'd love to help you out if you want to learn more. Parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Do business with someone you know, Parish Construction and Roofing. Visit parishbuilt.com. Okay, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Florida Gators.
Florida safety Asa Turner has been granted a 6th year of eligibility. Did not work out for scouts at Pro Day. Obviously a sign that he'd been granted another year. He's a former Washington safety, transferred to Florida before the 2024 season. Season-ending hamstring injury after just one game, so he's got the extra year of eligibility and will return to Florida.
The Texas Longhorns.
Wide receiver Freddie DeBose is no longer with the Texas football program. Was limited in playing time and on the practice field during his time in Austin. Didn't suit up for a game during his freshman season. Former 3-star prospect from Texas. NCAA transfer portal window will open, of course, in April.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Kalen DeBose got a commitment from Jordan Edmonds. He's a 5-star cornerback out of the state of Georgia. Picked Bama over Georgia, Tennessee, Oklahoma, and others. 6'2", 175. The number 10 overall player in the country, the 4th commit for Bama's 2026 class.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas added its 11th verbal commitment for the 2026 class. Minnesota tight end Cade Bush has committed to Sam Pittman's Razorbacks. Picked the Hogs over Kansas State, Washington State, Wyoming, Utah State, and others. Does not have a star ranking.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Point guard Silas DeMary plans to enter the transfer portal and simultaneously test the NBA draft. 6'5" point guard has 2 years of eligibility remaining. He averaged 13 and 4 with 3 assists this season for the Bulldogs.
The Missouri Tigers.
And Mizzou has landed Loyola Marymount transfer forward Javon Porter, 6'11", 235, averaged 12 and 7 this past season for Loyola Marymount, has 1 season of eligibility remaining. Okay, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. Thursday shows are brought to you by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. You can learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com. Highly recommend you schedule that discovery phone call. It's not just healthcare. It's healthcare for your lifestyle. It's decision critical. Maybe you're caring for an elderly parent now and you need help. Decision Critical, their expertly trained nurses will come into your home to provide whatever level of care that you need. It's decisioncriticalbr.com, decisioncriticalbr.com. They are expanding their footprint as well. New Orleans, Senlaw, Lafayette. Give them a shout. See how they can help you. decisioncriticalbr.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here on this Thursday edition. In about 45 minutes from right now, preview the Sweet 16 with Michael LaTulip from the field of 68. A record 7 SEC teams in the Sweet 16. So we'll preview those games coming up here in about 45 minutes from right now. We'll knock out a quick break, come back. Great news for Matt Men's basketball Tigers. Jalen Reed is going to return for 2025, 2026. What does it mean for the Tigers? We'll discuss next on AFR.
AFR.
Okay, business owners. There's no doubt that every one of us, and whether you're a business owner, whether you're the ops manager, HR, if you're the person in charge of hiring and finding the right people to make your business more effective, and you're struggling to find the right people to make your business more effective, maybe it's skilled blue-collar labor. Maybe the issue you have is you're having trouble finding people that will show up consistently, show up on time, and there's lots of different reasons. Maybe it's they lack reliable transportation. Maybe they're going to be gone because of the birth of a child or something. The thing about Glow Resources that makes them so good at what they do is over the course of the year, they'll conduct some 15,000 interviews. So they know the questions to ask on the front end to prevent some of those headaches on the back end. It's why they have a 96% success rate. If you need the right people, Glow Resources can help. GLO, glowresources.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Wrapping up hour number one. Oh, by the way, we've got the first NFL win totals that have been posted over under for the 2025 season. I'll share that with you coming up right after the top of the hour. And Matt Miller, who was with us early in the week from ESPN.com, he put out his 7-round mock draft. We'll run through who he had going to the Saints. Who more positionally? There's one really interesting name on it. We'll get to that again coming up after the top of the hour. So earlier this week, the basketball portal window opened, that 30-day portal window, and LSU immediately had 3 players enter. There was a collective melt again because a lot of you want to just criticize everything with the basketball program. Now, granted, they deserve criticism because they were awful this year. The point that I've made is Lazarus could come back from the dead and coach this basketball team, or name the great John Wooden, whomever. James Naismith, the guy who invented the game, could have coached this team, and they're not a contender. You want to fault Matt McMahon et al. For putting this team together? Okay, but they also did it with a limited NIL budget. I've told you, they spent about $1.8 million on this roster, which seems like a lot. The middle of the league, Vanderbilt, Missouri, my best info is they were in the $5 million range. Nobody was going to be competitive with this roster. So, again, I feel like I have to throw the caveat every time. I'm not like pounding the table telling you Matt McMahon's awesome and he's going to fix it and win big. I'm just saying I don't know because he hasn't had a roster capable of competing. So let's see what it looks like if they actually do commit the resources to getting him that roster, and then what that looks like. And if that happens and next year they stink, fire him. But they got a big announcement today with Jalen Reed announcing that he's returning. Jalen Reed was LSU's best player this year, and you had him for 8 games. Now, I want to say this so there's no misunderstanding. If Jalen Reed was healthy and played the entire season, I don't know that your record is any different. Okay? Maybe the game against Ole Miss that you flat blew, maybe you win that one. But sometimes those even out like you stole one against Oklahoma on the road. So that's a give and take. Maybe it's a 1-game differential. It's not changing your team. But Jalen Reed was your best player. I mean, this was Matt McMahon in December after Reed towards it. You only had him for 8 games this year. And he was averaging 11-6 in those 8 games. I mean, he had 24 points in the season opener. Like, he was your best player. And he went down after 8 games with a torn ACL. Like, this was Matt McMahon after that injury.
One of my favorite players I've had the opportunity to coach over the years. Was really the first guy when I got here, and there wasn't a whole lot to sell. First top 100 player to really jump on board and, take a chance on us. And now, since then we've been able to sign our last 7 guys have been top 100 players. He's understood the process. He's worked extremely hard. You've seen him get better each year. So many players today think it's an overnight success deal. He's been bought into understanding the work that goes into it, and a great teammate. He's just had a tremendous start to his season. So, heartbroken for him. But, the good thing with Jalen, he's a better person than he is a player. Basketball is certainly not his only identity. I think you'll see him work extremely hard and come back even stronger from the injury. And we'll be here to support him every step of the way.
Everything Matt McMahon said in that soundbite about Reed getting better is spot on. He was the number 45 overall player in the country because he wasn't just top 100, he was top 50 in the country. Comes to LSU as a freshman, starts 11 games, averages 3-3. As a sophomore, the NIT team, he starts 20 of the 32 games, averages 8-4. So you saw his starts go up, his minutes go up, his averages go up. And then this year, of course, I mean, he was your best player. He was averaging 11-6 at the time of his injury. Now, Cam Carter became your best player, obviously. It probably would have played out that way as well. But having Carter and Reed in tandem certainly would have made this team look dramatically different. So it's a big deal that you're getting him back. And I'm not so sure, like, maybe I can make a case about Victorious Miller. There's just not a lot of guys in this roster where you're just desperate to have them back, where, like, if they leave, you're like, how do you overcome that? That they're just not on this roster. Jalen Reed's one that, if he's healthy, you definitely want back. And he's been a program guy, and that's a good indicator. I told you, talk to me in a month. Let me see what it looks like a month from now. And I'll have a much better indicator of if I think Matt McMahon is going to be able to do something and make this a competitive program and a competitive team next year. Well, getting Jalen Reed back is certainly a check in that column. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Remember, drink Evamore, EVA-MOR. I love this, man. I was just checking the show text line when I was in the break, and John Jones, kind of like the fighter, Jon, John Jones, sent me a picture of Evamore in his grocery cart wherever he's shopping. He said, it's weird when you're walking through a grocery store, you see water and you think of Matt, LOL. Yeah, man. I love associating myself with Evamore. They're great people. It's a Louisiana product, a Louisiana company, and it's delicious. It's a better form of hydration. Buy it online. Or, look, I walked into a gas station yesterday, the big 64-ounce bottles in the Circle K by my house. So you find it everywhere. EVA-MOR, Evamore.com. That's Evamore.com. Okay, hour 2 coming up after SportsCenter.
AFR.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Opening day for most of Major League Baseball right now on ESPN. Sixth inning in New York. The Yankees lead the Brewers 2-1, although Milwaukee has the bases loaded. After winning 2 games in Tokyo, the Dodgers open at home tonight against the Tigers. We'll have that one here on ESPN Radio starting at 6:30 Eastern. Kike Hernandez out with a stomach illness for the Dodgers, who are the overwhelming favorite to win the title again. But which team could spoil that party? ESPN's Jessica Mendoza.
Atlanta Braves, and especially out of the NL East, I mean, that division is one of the greatest divisions. And you think about Spencer Strider and Ronald Acuna Jr. getting back to this team. And when we talk about history, I mean, the Atlanta Braves have been the team, winning that division until last year because of the injuries.
Jess Mendoza on Get Up. In the men's Sweet 16 tonight, the only double-digit seed left in the tournament, Arkansas plays Texas Tech in San Francisco. Fran McCaffrey is the new head coach at Penn, his alma mater. McCaffrey was fired 2 weeks ago at Iowa. Merrimack coach Joe Gallo gets a new 8-year contract.
It's a resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Friday. Could Jackson Dart be drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders? Will we see 4 quarterbacks go in the first round? My answer just might surprise you. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Decision Critical, Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Musu. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Talk some Sweet 16 with Mike LaTulip of a Field of 68, bottom of this hour. Kendall Rogers next hour. Talk a little college baseball. We have this up over at LouisianaSports.net, but our friends over at BetOnline.ag have released the projected win totals for all 32 NFL teams. And I don't want to bury the lead here, but it's not good for the New Orleans Saints. The Cleveland Browns, they project to have the lowest win total for the season at 4.5. The New Orleans Saints are 1 win better than the Cleveland Browns. Projected their over-under win total for 2025 at 5.5 wins. If you're wondering about the rest of the division, the NFC South, Tampa, 9.5, Atlanta, 7.5, Carolina, 6.5, New Orleans, 5.5. For whatever it's worth, a year ago, the Saints' win total opened at 7.5, and they finished, we know, with 5 wins. So clearly and dramatically lower than what it was a season ago. Denver, biggest jump, up 4 wins from their projected total a year ago. New England up 3 wins from their projected total a year ago. Washington make the NFC Championship game in year 1 with a rookie quarterback. It'll do it. They're up 3 wins from a season ago. Cleveland and the Jets, both off 4 wins. Atlanta down 3 wins from what they were projected a year ago. Remember when Kirk Cousins went to Atlanta, there were a lot of people high on the Falcons. But not this year, clearly. When I look at that, it's very hard for me to look at anything other than this feeling that the New Orleans Saints are still very much in win now mode, where they view themselves as contenders. It's why they restructured Derek Carr. It's why they restructured other contracts, not only to get within cap compliance, but to free up additional cash to be able to go sign Justin Reed and sign Brandon Cooks and re-sign Chase Young and re-sign Juwan Johnson. And this is the biggest problem I have with what the Saints have done and where they are. Well, I understand you were going to have to rework contracts to get within cap compliance. My biggest problem is going beyond that to free up the additional tens of millions of dollars of cap space, and $30 million or so of additional cap space, to be able to re-sign Chase Young and Brandon Cooks and Justin Reed and Juwan Johnson and all the things that they've done. That hasn't made you better. Maybe marginally, as opposed to if you'd gone with younger, less expensive players. But you're still not a contender. And even if these odds makers are off, like let's say they're off by 3 games, which would be significant. Even if they're off by 3 games, that makes you an 8-win team. You're still not in the playoffs. And the problem is every time you restructure those deals, you sacrifice the future to win now. And I was okay doing it when you had Drew Brees because you were a legit contender. And you say, well, worry about the future when we get there. We got to win now. Okay, I'm with it. But the problem is you're nowhere closer to winning now than you were the day Drew Brees left. But you keep sacrificing the future. And this only further reinforces that. And I'm not saying that the odds makers are a be-all, end-all. But my goodness, y'all. I mean, they got those big, fancy, shiny buildings for a reason. They're not used to being way wrong. And the only team in the NFL they're projecting with fewer wins, not in the NFC, not in the NFC South, the only team in the NFL, the 32, only one is projected to win fewer games in New Orleans, the Cleveland Browns. Even if you exceed that expectation, you're still not a contender. And that's the really tough part of this to stomach. So the Saints are going to go into this draft season with 9 picks and looking to fortify the roster. We'll see what they do. Matt Miller from ESPN was with us earlier in the week. If you missed that conversation, you can catch it on demand on YouTube or podcast. Just search AFR Saints, and you can catch it right there. And AFR LSU, by the way. We talked a lot about the LSU guys. Matt Miller at 9 overall has the Saints taking Jahdae Barron, the cornerback out of Texas. And I don't hate that, by the way. I don't know what type of grade the Saints have on Jahdae Barron, but you need a cornerback, right? I mean, you traded Marshawn Lattimore, and then you saw Paulson Adebo leave in free agency. You've got Kool-Aid McKinstry. You've got Alontae Taylor. But, yeah, I mean, absolutely, you need a cornerback at some place in this draft. And if you feel like you're getting an elite lockdown number 1 corner at 9 overall that can play opposite Kool-Aid McKinstry, and then maybe Alontae Taylor kicks back to the slot or goes and plays safety. Awesome. You got the people in the right seats on the bus. This is the one that's going to be controversial to many. At number 40 overall, he's got the Saints taking Quinn Ewers out of Texas. And I've given you my thoughts on Quinn Ewers, but that's largely been the context of Quinn Ewers as a day 3 pick. Quinn Ewers at 40, you better be convicted, because if you're taking a player 40th overall, you're expecting them to be a starter. Regardless of the position, you're taking someone at 40, you're expecting them to be a starter for you. You know, we've talked about this a lot over the years, that, you know, Archie Manning is the only player The only quarterback the Saints have ever taken in round one. In their history, since 1967, the Saints have used one first-round pick on a quarterback. Archie Manning, 1972. Do you know how many times they've used a first-round pick? Excuse me. Do you know how many times they've used a second-round pick? Like, that's what this would be. Quinn Ewers at 40. Do you know how many times they've used a second-round pick on a quarterback? Do y'all know? Is this common knowledge? Do you know? Do y'all know? I don't know if it's common knowledge.
Never.
Paulie, got a guess?
I'll say 2.
They've never taken a quarterback in round 2. After Archie Manning, here you go. Do you know the highest they've drafted a quarterback? Do you know who it was? After Archie number 1, who is the next highest quarterback drafted in the history of the New Orleans Saints? Either you got a guess. It's okay if you don't know it.
Yeah, no, I don't even guess.
Yeah, I have no clue.
But, Aaron Brooks?
They didn't draft
Aaron Brooks. Never mind, they didn't draft him, yeah.
Garrett Grayson.
Oh, Lord.
In round 3. Archie Manning in 1972, first round. Garrett Grayson out of Colorado State, round 3. You wonder why the Saints have been dog poo for most of their lives? That's why. In a league where you have to have a quarterback to win, the Saints have never invested in a quarterback. That's why. Garrett Grayson, by the way, is the only third-round pick they've ever taken. They've used a fourth-round pick 3 times. 4 times. Danny Werfel, Doug Nussmeier, Jake Haener, Ian Book. Do you want to know why the Saints have been dog poo for most of their lives? That's why. You don't invest in the most important position in organized team sports. That's why you've stunk for your whole career, for your whole organization's history, except when you hit the friggin' jackpot because Miami's idiots and they didn't sign Drew Brees. So part of me would be thrilled if they took a quarterback at 40. But you better be convicted on Quinn Ewers as a starter if you're going to take him at 40. A few other observations from Matt Miller's 7-round mock. First of all, the Saints have 9 picks. Go ahead. You're laughing. Go ahead. Say it. You can say it.
They ain't making all 9
picks.
They
ain't making 9 picks. Muse. Mark the tape.
Yeah. Marked.
Mark the tape. We're going to bring this back. Because I think I said the same thing last year, didn't I?
I mean, probably. I think we've said the same thing the last decade, probably.
They came. No, you know what it was? I think they had 3 third-round picks last year.
That's what it was, yeah.
And I was like, there's a better chance of me waking up and having or becoming president of the United States than the Saints using all 3. And they almost did, by the way. But anyway, they ain't making 9 picks. They're not. The last time the Saints drafted 9 players was in 2015, which, by the way, might be their worst draft in the history of the organization. That was Andres Pete, Stephon Anthony, the worst draft in the history of the organization. Prior to that, 2002 was the last time. So since 2002, they've taken 9 players one time. They're going to package picks and move up. It's just what they do. But interestingly, at 93 overall, that's the pick they got from Washington for Lattimore. They have the Saints taking JT Tuimoloau, an edge from
The Ohio State University.
Ding. Come on. Ding. I mean, of course.
Ah.
And who else are you going to take?
Got to get one of them at least.
Got an Ohio State guy there. Of course you're going to take it.
Tradition.
I like what he has them doing positionally. A starting cornerback, a high-level quarterback, Jalen Royals out of Utah State, a receiver at 71, a couple of offensive linemen in Wyatt Milam out of West Virginia, and Jacob Bayer, center from Arkansas State, a couple of edge rushers. I mentioned the kid from Ohio State, also Elijah Roberts from SMU, Jordan James, the running back from Oregon with a mid-round pick, Andrew Armstrong, the wide receiver from Arkansas. So a running back, couple of edge rushers, couple of receivers, couple of offensive linemen. I like conceptually what he's doing, how he pieces it there. It's really just going to be a question of what do you do at the top of the draft. But no matter what you do in this draft, it's not going to make you a contender. And to circle it back where we started, odds makers have the Saints win total over under 5.5. There's just not enough out there to take you from that to a contending team this year. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Sorry. All right, 15 minutes from right now, we'll talk to Mike LaTulip, Field of 68, preview the Sweet 16. Blake Baker met with reporters earlier today. We'll get some of what he said in just a smidge. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. Don't you move, it's AFR.
AFR.
It's turnaround season, y'all. March to October. It's turnaround season of the plants. If you got that turnaround coming up, make sure you allow our friends over at the Advanced Turnaround Group to bid your job. It's part of Action Industries. Proud partner of LSU Athletics. Matter of fact, you get out to the box tonight. Every time there's a mound visit, mound visits are brought to you by Action Industries. So if you're at the box, listening, watching, make sure you keep your ears perked for that. Every time. Midweek games, you know, there's going to be a lot of. Going to be a lot. Maybe game 2, there might be a lot of them as well. Anyway. Hey, look, when we tell you about the Advanced Turnaround Group at Action Industries, it's the same great people from Action Industries that have been around for more than 40 years, but this is their turnaround division. So it's a completely separate set of resources, separate pool of resources, separate pool of people, management, but they give you 24-hour emergency services. They do specialty welding. It's the Advanced Turnaround Group, part of Action Industries. Learn more, actionindinc.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Join LSU Athletics and the Tiger Athletic Foundation for Bayou Tradition's second annual gala, a Louisiana Saturday night featuring Jordan Davis on the field in Tiger Stadium. That's Saturday, May 3rd. We are giving you on-field access. You can register to win a spot at our table at louisianasports.net. Support LSU student athletes' NIL opportunities and reserve your table today at lsutaf.org/events.
I'll be at Tiger Stadium tonight.
Hey!
Got the Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health Group March Madness event.
Love it.
Going down.
So good.
Shout out Kurt Chastain, Tyler Boudreaux. Great dudes. Oscar Schoenfeld. It's all about keeping men healthy, man. Go to the doctor. Get your tests done. Take care of yourself. Make sure you're longevity. Identify it's all about identifying the things early that can take you out early to make sure they don't. Look, dog, you walk across the street, you get hit by a bus, look both ways. That's what your mama told you when you were a kid. You know what I mean? That ain't no good. But some of the things we ignore get to the point where you finally go to the doctor for it, it's too late. Or it's too late before you ever get to the doctor. So it's all about identifying those risk factors and taking good care of yourself. So we'll be in the South Stadium Club.
Great spot.
Good, be a great group of people. Gordy and I will be there. We'll do a little, sports Q&A stuff. Governor was there last year.
Okay.
Don't know if he'll be there tonight. You know what? I got to ask him if I see him. I hope he is there tonight. I got to ask him about this NHL thing in New Orleans. Because he tweeted last week. Remember when he tweeted that they had a meeting with the NHL, and I want to learn more. I'm going to try to reach out. I don't love putting politicians on the show. I just avoid. I don't, for all the obvious reasons. But that's one of those where I go, okay, I would like to hear the governor talk about an NHL team in New Orleans and what the thought process is there. What would that look like? All that stuff. So maybe ask him. Let's see if we can make that happen.
It'd be good. I like that, yeah.
Okay. All right. Why do I still have Matt Miller's mock draft in my hand? There's no reason for me.
Comfortability, just holding the paper, Yeah,
here
routine.
Here it is, right here. Okay. So I'll be over there tonight. Keeping an eye on the baseball game.
I was about to say, you going to come catch a couple innings after?
No, I'm going to go home. But the last year during the March Madness event was the Thursday game against Arkansas.
Oh,
and,
God.
Well, no, it was good early.
Yeah, I know.
Because they got to Hagen-Smith, and I'm going, oh, my God. Look at this.
Yeah.
And then it didn't go good.
Yeah.
It was good until it wasn't good.
That was like the second inning, too.
Yeah, it was early.
Homer?
They got to him early.
Yeah.
Who was it?
I was going to say Larson, but it wasn't Larson. Larson had his home run in the third game of that series. Who?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Either way, the point is they got to Hagen-Smith. That was exciting. And then it wasn't.
Yeah. The rest of that weekend wasn't too exciting.
No. All right, it's after further review. Thanks for being here with us, guys. Appreciate you for being here. Thanks to Muse for pinch hitting yesterday. How'd it go?
Good, man. We had a good show. We had Ross on, talk some pro day. We had Robbie Falk previewed the weekend with State. So
I texted Robbie Falk today. I was like, hey, man, you want to come on preview the game? He's like, well, I was on with your replacement yesterday. I was like, oh, well, let's not do that then. And he also told me he was going to have an endoscopy. And I was like, you know what? Why don't you just take care of business, Robbie, and we'll catch you another day down the road.
Yeah.
Thanks, bud.
That's not a good day.
Thanks, bud. Blake Baker met with reporters on Thursday after practice. And I love what he said. Naturally, everybody's giving their opinion about Kyle Williams joining the staff. I mean, that's the one staff spot turnover you had, right? You had Bo Davis out, Kyle Williams coming in now at defensive, coaching the defensive tackles. Here's what Blake Baker said about Kyle Williams coming in.
He actually brought this up to me. When he first got into the league, it was much more capturing blocks and trying to hold blocks off linebackers. And for his body type and everything, that necessarily wasn't his strong suit. But whenever he was allowed to get vertical and create havoc and knockback, that's when his career really took off and he became a Pro Bowler. And I think that's what he's bringing to our guys. You know, this defense, forever and ever, we talk about the defensive tackles are the tip of the spear, man. And we got to be able to create knockback and havoc. And I thought we got a little stale from that standpoint last year, and that's on me. But having him do it at a high level, and then he's very, very good at articulating it to the players. I think he's done an outstanding job. I think you're already seeing that. Some of our guys being able to use their quick twitch and their get off and create havoc in the backfield. It's helped us, and they're starting to see themselves make plays. Now they're wanting to do it more and more.
You heard Blake Baker in that soundbite twice use a buzzword of havoc. Now, havoc rate is something that's being calculated more in football. And havoc rate is defined as the percentage of plays defensively that result in a sack, a TFL, a forced fumble, a pass breakup, something like a pass deflection, stuff like that. That's your havoc rate. And last year, LSU's havoc rate was 14%. Now, specifically just in sack percentage, LSU's sack percentage was 8.7%, which was 11th in the country. It was Ohio State. Ole Miss was 2. It speaks to how much talent they had on that defense, right? But Ohio State won the national championship. Ohio State was number 1. Ole Miss, was number 2. Boise State, playoff team, was 3. North Carolina, James Madison, South Carolina, who obviously was really good on the defensive front, right? Colorado, Northern Illinois, Oklahoma, UTSA. Then there's LSU at 11. Central Michigan, Penn State, playoff team, 13 right there. Anyway, all that to say, while Blake Baker, we know that's what he thrives on, right? He wants to create havoc. He wants pressure. The one thesis of Blake Baker's defense is make them uncomfortable. Get negative plays. You're going to give up some big ones, but your negative plays will compensate. Even if you're not a smothering defense, your big plays, your ability to create an interception, a turnover, forced fumble is going to compensate for those big plays you might give up by your aggressiveness. You want to create havoc. You heard him say it there. But truthfully, you didn't get it from the interior of your line. That's true. And a big part of that was Tank going down. Jacoby Guillory goes out. Gio Paez had to kick inside and play a zero tech, which is not his natural position. You had Paris Shand have to go from end to inside. They had great seasons from Braden Swinson and from, Savion Jones. And you were able to create pressure as well from the perimeter with guys like Major Burns, et cetera. So Blake Baker found ways to make it work, to generate that pressure. But this feels like it'll be a completely different beast, right? Because you went in the portal and got 3 elite edge rushers. You're getting Harold Perkins back and all that. Not having to fabricate pressure, because those guys are going to be able to do it by winning their matchups, is going to open up lanes for the interior. And that's what Kyle Williams did great in the NFL. That's what he's going to try to do with this interior defensive line. And you're getting Jacoby and Guillory back. And you add a 350-pound dude in Sadir Mitchell. And you get Dom McKinley and Ahmad Bro another year older in this defense. It's exciting, man, because you can kind of see the roadmap to getting this defensive line back to what it was when it was dominant and awesome. I'm not saying you're going to have a bunch of All-Americans there this year. What I am saying is there's a realistic expectation they'll be better on the defensive line this year than they were a season ago. And a big part of that, obviously, is numbers you've added, what Kyle Williams is going to be doing, having Jacoby and Guillory back, guys playing in the right position. It's going to be exciting to watch that group as it moves along. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. Schedule that discovery phone call at decisioncriticalbr.com. Quick break. We'll come back. Mike LaTulip from the Field of 68 previewing the Sweet 16 next.
AFR.
Have you done it yet? Have you gone to the website to check out Duplessis Builders? Or have you gone by their showroom yet? DuplessisBuilders.net, that's the website. DuplessisBuilders.net, DuplessisBuilders.net. The showroom's on Airline Highway in Gonzales. It's actually right next to the new Rouse's on Airline Highway. And I highly recommend you schedule a time to go in there and check it out. Listen, yes, go look at Duplessis Builders on Instagram. See the beautiful pictures of the pools and the outdoor kitchens and all the great stuff that they build. It's gorgeous. It's resort style. It is fine. Anybody would love to have this at their home. But there's a lot of pool companies that can build you a beautiful pool. The difference with Duplessis is Derek is an engineer. He is a mechanical engineer with an aerospace engineer minor. He takes his engineering background and builds you quality that will last. That's why they offer a 10-year workmanship warranty when the industry standard is 1. It's DuplessisBuilders.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life. So why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
I'm glad you're rolling along with us here on this Thursday edition of AFR, presented by Decision Critical. 45 minutes from right now, we'll talk to Kendall Rogers from D1 Baseball. Always enjoy having Kendall with us. This just happens to be a day, of course, that the LSU Mississippi State series opens, so check that out. By the way, hat tip to Rivers Huey. I think most of the people who work with us here are familiar with our radio station in Baton Rouge, know Rivers, who worked on Off the Bench for a lot of years. And we hired her as our digital media manager, who's sort of overseeing our daily operations of LouisianaSports.net right now. She worked very hard on a piece that's published. It just went live at LouisianaSports.net. It's the rivalry that built the SEC, LSU versus Mississippi State baseball. And I know she worked very hard on this and did dozens of interviews with players and coaches throughout this rivalry. I have not read it yet. It just went live, so I'm anxious to dive in. But be sure you check that out at LouisianaSports.net. As always, everything at LouisianaSports.net is totally free. No paywalls, no freemium, no subscriptions. It's totally free, so go check it out. And give us a retweet. Let's share that thing out there. It's great content. I'm looking forward to reading it. Sweet 16. Tips off here tonight. Mike LaTulip from the Field of 68 is good enough to join us for a couple of minutes. Mike, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's always interesting after that layoff when you have that first weekend, that onslaught of games, and then you got to wait 3 or 4 days for it to pick back up. But I'm ready to go.
Yeah, we don't have to wait at all to see SEC teams. I mean, there's going to be 3 playing tonight, 7 in total. Mike, give me a feeling, just big picture college basketball, pull out 10,000-foot view on what it means, if anything, for the state of the game, that you have no real Cinderellas and you get 7 teams from one conference in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think we've seen it trending this way, right? When you look at conference realignment, we are always going to have, I think, whether it was the Big Ten or the SEC or even how the Big 12 has gotten bigger and obviously the Pac-12 is no more. We were going to have conferences that were overloading with teams coming into the NCAA tournament. And look, I think there's been a lot of conversation with the Cinderellas or lack thereof. I mean, we're only 2 years removed from a 16 upsetting a 1 in FDU knocking off Purdue. So I don't think it's too crazy to say that this may just be a year where we don't have a Cinderella advance to the Sweet 16, and the only one that looks like it is John Calipari and Arkansas. But still, we had Drake win, we had Colorado State win, we had McNeese win. I mean, it's not like it went full chalk through the first round, and we still got some upsets, but maybe not as many as we're accustomed to, and sometimes that's okay because it makes for a great Sweet 16 and beyond.
I tend to love the brand names as well, the bigger names on the marquee. The upsets in the first couple rounds are fun, but when you get down to brass tacks, it's fun when you have the big boys, and we certainly have that. I saw your breakdown. I was watching the video on Twitter of BYU Alabama. We'll start there because that's the first one out the chute. It's 6:09 Central Time. It kind of feels like with the pace BYU plays, you think they're going to give Alabama a lot of trouble. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that a live dog there with BYU as a 4.5-point dog against Alabama, the 2 seed?
Yeah, I mean they're tough, man. They're a really tough cover, and they not only do they run a very sophisticated offense that Kevin Young has brought over from the NBA, but they have the older guys to run it. I mean, their point guard is young, but the rest of the guys around him are really experienced. I'm looking at Richie Saunders, who's 23 years old and probably their best player. He's a handful because you can't take a play off. They always have constant movement. They have great pace in the half court, and they're going to challenge this Bama team that for this whole season, Nate Oates has been trying to challenge them and his own players and say, hey, we got a guard. We can't be 111th in the country nationally defensively like we were last year. So I think it's so fitting that for Nate Oates, you play a BYU team who's been the best offense in college basketball since February 12th in order to advance to an Elite Eight. And then if you end up playing Duke, you play what is literally the number 1 offense in college basketball for the whole season. So Nate Oates has wanted his defense to step up, and these guys that have grit, they're going to have to prove it to get out of this region.
Mike, we're also going to watch Florida and Maryland tonight, which – my goodness, could you be more polar opposite? You got the Crab 5, like they're going to play 5 dudes in this game, and then you got Florida, who might be the best team in the country right now. Make sense of that one for me.
And Florida's the deepest team in the country as well. So you definitely have those factors playing against each other. It's a really fascinating game because on the one hand, you can look at Florida and see, I really like their front court with Chinyalu and Alex Condon. And then you say, well, hey, Maryland's got Reese and Derek Queen to combat it, but I think there's a chance that Alex Condon can make life a little bit difficult for Derek Queen tonight. Condon is going to be a first-round pick himself, probably towards the later part of the first round, but he's 6'11", he's mobile, he can move his feet, and he has a chance to give Derek Queen problems. And so I think the front court may end up being a wash. This is going to probably come down to the Maryland backcourt, who's been kind of spotty the last few games. I mean, even in the Big Ten tournament, when they played against Michigan, their final game of the Big Ten tournament, all those guards were held under 40% from the field. They were just okay against Colorado State. Derek Queen was really the hero in that game, not only just the game-winning shot, but what he was able to do for throughout the course of that game. Those guys, Jacoby Gillespie, Shelton Miguel, and Rodney Rice, have to step up tonight. When Rodney Rice is on, when Rodney Rice is making shots, this is a different Maryland team. So if Florida's able to shut the water off of those guys in the backcourt, I just see Maryland having a really tough time winning this game. But this is one when the bracket came out that I was circling because I was hoping it came to fruition. And again, we talked about the upsets and Cinderellas. It's nice to have these two teams facing off. It's going to be a heck of a matchup.
In the later windows, Duke, Arizona, Duke's a big favorite. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it. Do you think there's anything to see there? Duke, relatively easy here?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can look at familiarity. They played each other in November. And these two teams are different. I mean, both teams are playing with more pace. Both teams have had shifts in personnel. I just continue to watch this Duke team over and over again. And their mentality, they treat every game the same. Their approach is what makes me bullish on them to win the whole thing. So I would be pretty stunned, honestly, if Arizona advanced tonight. I think Duke's got their sights set on cutting down the nets.
And then Arkansas, Texas Tech. Give me a reason why Arkansas can pull this upset.
Yeah, I think throughout SEC play, they had to find their identity, and I think they have. And it's been really, really getting after the ball. And they're a top 20 defense in America. I think they've found a great balance between really, really athletic, long front court guys in Adu, as well as Trayvon Brazile. And then they have smaller guards with Fland and Wagner, but on the wing, whether it's Carter Knox or Billy Richmond, or I think Thiero, I think is playing tonight. They are just really freaky athletic. And I think when you looked at that St. John's game, St. John's has overwhelmed teams physically this year, and Arkansas had no problem in that game. They were willing to compete on the boards. They were willing to get after them defensively and pressure them. I think that's what Texas Tech has in store for them tonight. They can pull this off because I think they make life difficult on you defensively. But the thing with Texas Tech is if Chance McMillan can go tonight, that's another movement shooter. That's another guy that can make shots off the bounce. That is so key tonight for Texas Tech. That's how we saw them beat Houston earlier in the season at the Fertitta Center down there in Houston, and they're going to have to replicate that tonight against a pretty stout Arkansas defense, where if they're turning defense into offense and you're turning the ball over if you're Texas Tech, it could be a long night.
He's Mike LaTulip from the Field of 68. You'll give him a follow on Twitter, X, at LaTulip, Mike, LATULIP_Mike, if you want to give him a follow there. Hey, on Friday, Mike, which game is the most interesting to you for whatever reason?
I think it's Auburn, Michigan. I really do. I think you look at the matchup in that front court, which Janai Broome against the Twin Towers of Michigan and Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden. I fully expect Broome to have a really good game, to be honest, because you look at Michigan during this postseason run. Pharrell Payne for Texas A&M, 26 points. Derek Queen had 31 on them in the Big Ten tournament. Trey Coffin-Wren had 24 and 9 on them in the Big Ten tournament. They've had trouble stopping bigs, this Michigan team has. But I look at the flip side of it. How about Texas A&M, Wade Taylor and Phelps, their backcourt, 6 for 24. That Maryland game in the Big Ten tournament, Gillespie and Rice and Miguel held under 40% from the field. Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer for Purdue, that backcourt, 5 for 24 from the field. So it comes down to the Auburn guards in this game. It comes down to Chad Baker-Mazzara and Denver Jones, Dahad Petaway. That is the story, and that's a trio that had 55 points against Creighton in the previous round for them. So if they can repeat that tomorrow night, I think they advance. But how crazy would a Michigan State Elite Eight be? after all the controversy with the senior day, kissing the logo, and the Dusty May comments, we're set up. This is what, again, going back to the Cinderellas, I love it. I'm sure everyone loves it. But the potential for the matchups here in the Sweet 16, Elite Eight, and beyond, it's pretty high level.
What about the possibility of Alabama and Auburn in the Final Four?
Yep.
Yeah, man. Listen, there's so much meat on the bone. It'll be a lot of fun, man, however it's going to shake out. Make sure you get it over at the Field of 68. Follow him on Twitter. He's at LaTulip_Mike. Mike, we appreciate a couple minutes, man. Enjoy the games tonight.
Yeah, you too, guys.
It's our pleasure. Thanks for the time. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Supper Club. Hey, if you're not going to be watching hoops or baseball tonight, you want to get out, man. A lot of people love to start the weekend early. Get over by Supper Club right there on Perkins Road. SupperClubBTR.com for your reservations. Remember, if you don't have reservations, no sweat. Open seating at the bar. So that's one of the big misconceptions, over the last year or so since we've been telling you about Supper Club. We've worked very hard to dispel, which is people think, I have to be a member. No, you don't. It's open to the public. I highly, highly, highly recommend you get reservations early, but open seating at the bar, so you could always walk in and try your luck, see if you could grab a couple of bar stools, or, of course, see if maybe on an off chance you get a chance to get a table in the bar area as well. But it's great no matter where you sit at Supper Club. If you're at the bar, if you're in the private dining room, if you're in one of their very private booths, one of their giant semicircle open air booths. I mean, just no matter what experience you have at Supper Club, it's going to be an amazing experience, and it's complemented by one of the best dining experiences you'll have anywhere. I mean, they have stuff on the menu that you literally won't find anywhere else in Baton Rouge and Louisiana, in some instances, anywhere else in the country. It's Supper Club. SupperClubBTR.com. SupperClubBTR.com. All right, y'all. It's after further review. Glad you're hanging out. Mutual Tigers and the Pros to wrap up hour number 2. A lot to get to still ahead. LSU and Mississippi State open up their 3-game series tonight at the Box. Kendall Rogers is here in 30 minutes from right now. We do have updated college football national championship odds. It was updated by FanDuel, so we're going to get to that coming up at the top of next hour as well. We'll get you an LSU Mississippi State series preview and prediction. Still a ton to do, and glad you're hanging out with us here on this Thursday edition of AFR, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge.
After further review,
I want you to know something. I want you to know that I'm proud of you. Because I was having a conversation today with some of my friends over at Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, and so many of you have picked up the phone, have gone to the website, have started that path toward regaining your energy, your youthfulness, your vitality. I get it, for a lot of men, the hardest thing to do is to take the first step, is to act. But I'm here to tell you, and I know from personal experience, you don't know how bad you feel until you start feeling good again. Feeling tired and run down and achy and, not being able to build muscle or burn fat. You become complacent when your libido's down. Like, when you regain all of that, it's an amazing way to live life. And Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness can help. YourGoodwood.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. Whole team on wild.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit YourGoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Muso, Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Happy opening day to all who celebrate. And if you don't, you should.
Yeah, whatever. Shut up.
Great day.
Get on. Get on with it.
A lot of games in progress. We'll give you an update there. But I do want to start with Trey Morgan. Trey Morgan, the Rays announced today, I mean, we knew he wasn't on the opening day roster, but he will begin his season in AAA Durham with the Bulls.
Call him up, you cowards!
Maybe he'll hit the bull and right. If he does, he wins a free steak.
Hit the bull.
Morgan, of course, at 310 spring training games, was the Rays minor league player of the year a season ago, hitting 324 across 3 different levels. He is the sole player to watch this year for LSU when it comes to, if he stays healthy, he could be in the big leagues this season, which means he'd actually continue to play in a minor league stadium because that's what the Rays are doing this year. Anyway, somehow, probably still nicer than the Trop. Paul Skeens got the opening day start for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
How did that go?
He is still on the bump, as a matter of fact, in the bottom of the 6th with 1 out. So 5 1/3, 3 hits, just one earned run. Has not walked anybody and has punched out 7.
Oh, pretty
so
good start.
It's going really well.
7 strikeouts through 5 1/3.
Correct. Yeah. Yes, 7 strike. Now he's facing the Marlins, who kind of stink, but Paul Skeens is really good. Dylan Cruz, opening day lineup for the Nationals, was hitting 8th, playing right field. So far, 0 for 2. He is due up next in the 8th. And then, let's see, Jake Fraley. Opening day lineup for the Cincinnati Reds. Starting in right field. Also hitting 8th. He is 0 for 3. He is due up again. Well, actually, he might not get another at-bat in this game. Alex Bregman. Opening day lineup for the Boston Red Sox. Playing third base. Hitting 3rd. Bregman is 0 for 3. He's also punched out once. So far, Paul Skeens. It's been his day.
Yeah.
It's been his day. In Major League Baseball, and we'll get you an update on the rest of these guys, how they finish tomorrow. I wasn't done. I know. The Red Sox are playing the Rangers. I was just going to make you wait a little bit. Josh Smith. Yeah. You think I haven't been keeping up with this game? Starting at shortstop for the Rangers today. Remember, we saw him play a bunch of different positions in spring training. Hitting 9th, he is 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. None of the LSU position players have a hit yet in their seasons. But it's a long season. This is one of 62. And eventually they'll get there. Haven't had time to corral all the minor league stats. We'll mix some of those in tomorrow as well. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. If you are looking for a used vehicle, not just Volkswagens, all makes and models. Remember, you go to South Point Volkswagen to buy a new VW. You trade in your old vehicle, which means their certified pre-owned inventory is great. So you can go to the website. At the top of the homepage, you'll see new or used. Select it on the drop-down. You'll see all of their inventory. Remember, if it's on the lot, it's online with pictures of the actual vehicle on the lot. So you can see exactly the inventory that's there. It's South Point Volkswagen, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Thursday show is brought to you by Decision Critical, Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. After SportsCenter, we will get to the updated college football playoff championship odds, national championship odds for college football. Those have been updated. We'll get to that here in a smidge. Jay Johnson met with reporters, and he talked a little bit about the bullpen struggles, which is something we're going to keep an eye on. Hopefully tonight we see Cade Anderson extend deep into the game, and the offense is great. We don't have to see or use any of the leveraged arms there. But Jay was also asked about the walks, and the way the question was phrased was like, could it be attributed to guys having too much stuff? Is that why you're seeing so many walks?
I think it's probably a better way to answer that guy by guy, because answer for one pitcher might be different than the other. I think the guys that we put in the game, I definitely believe in them. And just as we've constantly talked about with like Jared Jones over 3 years, and even 3 weeks before the season to the season opener, and guys getting better, like we're on top of that. We had a good meeting on Monday morning with a few things for a few guys, and I think guys will continue to advance.
Guys will continue to advance, and looking forward to that continued advancement, as it were. But LSU pitchers have walked 97 hitters. Alabama's walked 100. That's the only team with more walks. Kentucky's at 96. Oklahoma's at 94. So you got some that are there. South Carolina was high. There we go. I'm sorry, I had to scroll down. So South Carolina's at 115, Ole Miss 110, Georgia 128. So you've got 3 teams that have walked more hitters than LSU, but you're still there at the bottom of the league. And I do think it's naive to ignore that that's a problem. I'm not saying Jay's ignoring the problem, but the guys you got are the guys you got. So you got to get them to throw the ball over the plate. See if they can start tonight. We'll talk about that with Kendall Rogers here in about 20 minutes. All right, Sports Center's coming up. It's AFR.
After further review.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Hey, spring's here. Maybe you're going on that spring road trip. Long weekend. Easter's coming up. Maybe the kiddos might have a little time off of school, going to grandma's house, whatever it may be. Anything you need for your vehicle, make sure you remember Shawbills, name brand tires at wholesale prices. So that's Bridgestone and Firestone and Michelin and BF Goodrich, the best tires on the road. And they're going to sell them to you for the cheapest price possible. They guarantee it. That's part of the Charlie's Dozen. Buy tires at Shawbills. If you find those tires advertised cheaper somewhere else, they'll refund you 110% of the difference. It's that easy. They're going to make sure you get the best price possible on the best tires. And when they get you in there to buy tires, they're going to treat you so awesome that every time you need anything from an oil change to your tires rotated to an alignment or squeaky brakes or anything, you're going to go back to Shawbills. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, we keep you rolling.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioneer Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Baseball's opening day for most teams. The reigning World Series champion Dodgers are already 2-0, and they're the favorite to win it all again. Plus 275 on ESPN Bet. ESPN's Jeff Passan.
The Dodgers are going to be the first back-to-back champions since the New York Yankees at the beginning of the century, and it's because they are incredibly talented, but beyond that, they are incredibly deep.
Jeff Passan on Get Up. The Dodgers host the Tigers here on ESPN Radio with our coverage starting at 6:30 Eastern. Coverage right now on ESPN. The Yankees lead the Brewers 4-1 in the 8th in New York. The men's Sweet 16 opens tonight with games in Newark and San Francisco. 2 of the 1 seeds play tonight. Duke against Arizona. Florida plays Maryland. The NBA will not use the 4-team mini-tournament format at next year's All-Star Game in Los Angeles. Commissioner Adam Silver says they're back to the drawing board on plans for 2026.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. And now a no-frills ad brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Here it is. You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive. That's it. See? Just a good old-fashioned, straightforward ad. See if you could save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Decision Critical, Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Musa. And Mr. Toby Tom Flake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. Kendall Rogers in a dozen minutes from right now. We'll preview LSU, Mississippi State, and the weekend ahead in college baseball, not only in the SEC, but around the country. We'll get you an LSU, Mississippi State series prediction later this hour as well. Jimmy will be here for Otter Locks. See, we got Otter Locks are posted, by the way, at LouisianaSports.net. Remember, everything always free. And this also means the return of Pick and Roll. Jake Hester, who wrote a bit of a heater on Pick and Roll during the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. So if you go to LouisianaSports.net, you'll see on the homepage there in the latest, you'll see Otter Locks. If you're watching, there it is on the left side. But remember, there's a sports betting tab. So if you want all the sports betting content, odds, picks, all that sort of stuff, it's just hit the sports betting tab at LouisianaSports.net. So like Pick and Roll, you got to scroll down a little bit. You have Chris Marler's Big Picks Energy, you got Hester's Pick and Roll, and now you got Otter Locks as well. So tons of college basketball plays are available if you want them at LouisianaSports.net. Okay, speaking of odds. So FanDuel has updated college football national championship odds. This is pretty common as you move throughout the offseason. There are sort of benchmark moments where you'll see the sports books and the odds makers update odds. Now, if there's a sort of a seminal moment and something happens, a player's injured or something like that, you may see an adjustment on a team. But when you go through, for example, the first transfer portal window, you'll see things adjusted. Spring football, obviously now, because not only with spring football now are you learning more about teams, positionally, who seems to have hit in the portal on certain things, and so you'll see slight adjustments. And so right now, FanDuel has updated their national championship odds. Again, this isn't to make the playoff. This is to win the national championship in college football. And the defending champ Ohio State at plus 600, still the betting favorite, followed by Texas and Oregon, each at plus 650. Now, the most notable thing about them, and next up, which is Georgia at plus 700, this is an easy one, what do Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, and Georgia all have in common? Just from jump, the most obvious thing. You want to take a shot?
New starting quarterback.
Yes. Good job, Muse. Give a ding.
Oh, Vader was down.
That's right. And they were obviously all playoff teams a year ago. All playoff teams a year ago that are all replacing their starting quarterback. The team with the best odds with a returning quarterback is Penn State at plus 800. Drew Aller's back. Then, by the way, Notre Dame replacing their starting quarterback. Tennessee has Nico back. Then Bama, Clemson, and then LSU at plus 2,000. So that's really where I think you draw this line, and you note there's this sort of like notable sort of line of demarcation. Where you've got that handful of favorites, Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, Georgia, Penn State, and then there's sort of like the next tier, which is Notre Dame, Tennessee, Bama, Clemson, LSU. Remember, the thing you got to consider is, this is obvious, but you can't win the college football playoff if you don't make the college football playoff. So in part, these odds aren't necessarily who do we think is the best team, but who's going to get in the playoff. And you have to be in it to have a chance to win it. And so when you look at LSU down at plus 2,000, they've got Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama. 4 SEC teams with better odds than LSU. Texas is replacing Quinn Ewers. Georgia's replacing Carson Beck. Tennessee has Nico back, but there were times that offense struggled. And, of course, Alabama's losing Jalen Milroe. Y'all know how I feel about Bama and all that. By the way, one spot after LSU is Ole Miss at plus 2,500, and they're replacing Jackson Dart. I just can't get past that in this era. Now, I also understand Ohio State had a mercenary quarterback this past year in Howard. So Will Howard comes in, they win the national championship. It's not to say you can't do it with a first-year starter. I also look, though, and go, that is a gigantic unknown. That variable, the most important variable in organized team sports. When you have an established player at that position, surely that has to give you an edge, which is why I would look at Penn State with Drew Aller, Clemson with Cade Klubnik, and LSU with Garrett Nussmeier. Yes, I look at those 3 teams and I'd go, if I'm taking a flyer, it's probably on those teams with the returning quarterback. Now, I will say one of the reasons why I understand why LSU is a little lower. It's because they open at Clemson. Remember, you can't win the championship if you don't make the playoff. So you got to get in. What did last year tell us? The baseline is 10-2. You got to be 10-2 in the regular season. Well, LSU is going to open the regular season having lost 5 straight season openers at Clemson. So if you lose that game, that means over the next 11 games, you got 1 game to play with. 1. After that, you've got no margin for error. You can't slip up at Ole Miss. You're at Alabama. You got what seem like winnable home games, but what if South Carolina or Texas A&M comes to Baton Rouge and beats you? Then you have no margin for error after that. That's no doubt what these odds makers are thinking as they're putting these numbers out. It's why that Clemson game as the opener is so important. I'm not telling you it's a must win because it's not. It's just massively important because if you don't win it, your margin is gone. Your margin for error because you have 1 game to play with the rest of the way. You got to go 7-1 in the league. to get in, and then hope you have a good draw and all that sort of stuff. So, I understand the desire to play these games, and I want to see them. I've told y'all that. Like, I want to see college football move to a model where the Power 4 only plays the Power 4. The G5 only plays the G5. The FCS only plays the FCS. Like weight classes in fights. Let's make sure everyone is competing with people who are punching at their own weight. But until that day comes, it doesn't serve you to put yourself voluntarily at a disadvantage. Ole Miss satisfied the Power 5 requirement by playing Wake Forest last year, while LSU went out to Vegas and played Southern Cal. You mean to tell me LSU could schedule a game against Duke and it's satisfying the same requirement as going and playing an opener at Clemson? Yeah, do that. Do the thing, because, and you could say, and I know this, I hear this all the time, oh, you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. People pound the table and they stick their chest out. You know what I'd prefer? I'd prefer winning a championship. That's what I would prefer. Because 100 years from now, like, nobody's going to ask who you played in the non-conference. They're just going to look up in the stadium and see the national championship flag. Like, y'all remember 2003? It was my senior year at LSU. I went to every game. Super fun team. You know who their big non-conference game was? Played at Arizona. That Arizona team was hot trash. I think that was John I always confuse if it's Malkovich or Malkovich, because there's the actor being John Malkovich. Malkovich. Which is it? I think it's John Malkovich was the coach, right? And then John, you don't know the actor, do you? That's why you're not. Yeah, that's why you're not grabbing your mic. Yeah.
Well, so I was looking up who the Arizona football coach was in 2003, but
I'll just talk to myself. John Malkovich. John McEnroe. $2.
John McEnroe.
John Malkovich was the coach. Anyway.
John McEnroe, the star of Mr. Deeds. John Malkovich was their coach. Malkovich, yeah, sorry. John Malkovich in 2003.
And John Malkovich, or Malkovich, is the actor, being John Malkovich.
I didn't look that up, so I guess.
No, I'm telling you, there's a movie called Being John Malkovich.
Gotcha.
And conveniently, you'd mess those names up for obvious reasons because they're very similar.
True.
And all that to say, do we think any less of the 2003 national championship team because they played a garbage Arizona team in Tucson? No, that was awesome. And it will forever be awesome. So go do that. Look, 2019 beat Texas at Texas. That was a hella fun game. Gave us 3rd and 17. It's awesome when you play those and you win them. You know what stinks? When you go 9-3 and you lost a non-conference game to open the season and you missed the playoff. That stinks. So don't do that until you have to. All right, it's after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. Thinking of buying land? Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Why? Because they're the best. It's what they've done for 100 years. Like, actually more than 100 years. Like, if you've done one thing, if you whittle dance floors out of beechwood and you've done that for 100 years, wouldn't you be awesome at it? That's what First South Farm Credit does, except for helping Louisianians buy land. They do one thing. They've done it for more than 100 years. They do it better than anyone. So if you're thinking of buying land, make sure your first call is to First South Farm Credit. So go to firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. I know it gets you, Muse. I brought it back to your wheelhouse.
Yeah, you got me there.
You don't know anything about John Malkovich.
I don't.
But you know about whittling dance floors out of beechwood. So some beechwood out back.
Maybe there's right there.
Whittle us a new dance floor. Panama Red. Kendall Rogers next, AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon, get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. You realize Gordon and his team have represented more than 75,000 injured people in Louisiana? Let that marinate for a second. 75,000. That almost fills up Tiger Stadium. More than fills the lower bowl. It's incredible. Over $3 billion in damages recovered. I say it every day. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Get Gordon and get it done. And the bottom line is you need representation. There's no stigma with it. Your life's altered. Your life's affected. It's not your fault. You should be compensated to make sure you come as close to possible as restoring your life to its tendencies and what it was. Let Gordon and his team help. Go to getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Less than 2 hours from first pitch, LSU Mississippi State Game 1 out at the box. Great time to visit with Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball. Get him on X at Kendall Rogers. How are you, dude?
I'm doing awesome. How about yourself?
Really well, man. I'll be doing way better if the Tigers win this weekend. Hey, you were in Austin. Give me a concern meter reading on the Tigers after seeing them in person lose that series.
Concern meter overall, very low.
Okay.
Concern meter immediately, just in terms of the bullpen, maybe a little bit. My takeaway from LSU's bullpen was this. It felt like there were a lot of really good arms, but not a lot of really good pitchers just yet. And I think as the season goes on, I think some of these younger arms will continue to get better. Obviously, Casey Evans was awesome, and obviously Zach Callen was awesome. But outside of that, I just felt like it was guys trying to throw and not guys trying to pitch. And so the good news is those guys get more experience, they'll get better and better. But let's not forget, I mean, this is a team that for the most part has, even Frisco, got to play essentially in front of home crowds. And so this was their first weekend to play in a hostile atmosphere where, the entire stadium for the most part was going against them. So I would like to kind of see them this weekend and to go, okay, that kind of confirms what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Strength of schedule in the 190s also. So going on the road to play a good Texas team.
That matters.
Different challenge. So they're going to play Mississippi State this weekend starting tonight. Hey, what's your thoughts on Chris Lemonis holding Pico Cone for Game 2?
Well, I think his takeaway is he may not feel great in terms of just his recovery time. And the other thing, too, is if you're Mississippi State, on the road in the SEC, especially against a team like LSU, you just want to make sure you get one game. And so, I'm sure there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of wanting to hold him another day. But, he's their best chance to get a win. I saw him in Houston a few weeks ago at Dyken Park, and just a really good lefty. He's kind of a funky angle. And he can really keep teams off balance. And I'm guessing they feel like they like their chances against, with him going against Ironton or Shores than they did Cade Anderson. I don't really blame him after watching Cade Anderson last week in Austin. He was incredible. And so it's probably not a bad move.
Yeah, they're going to throw Sierra tonight. Obviously, it's baseball and anything can happen, Kendall. But you like LSU tonight with Anderson on the bump against what kind of is, I guess, a bullpen day.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sierra's interesting, though. I've seen him a couple of times, and he's just kind of that crafty guy. And, the thing with LSU with him is they're going to have to be really patient because he can throw strikes, but it's going to be crafty. It's not going to be 95. So it's a little different look. And so maybe that's kind of the approach here from Chris Lemonis is, hey, let's come out of the gate with kind of a funky look and then go to more of a funky angle guy with a little bit more velocity in the game, too.
Mississippi State's won 2 out of 3 series since Jay Johnson's been the head coach. Lemonis has a winning record against Jay, which is weird. I think Vitello's the only other one.
Yeah.
So, do you think? How do you think this series plays out this weekend?
I think LSU sweeps. I think when you look at last weekend in Austin, I would say this.
Okay.
I thought LSU from about the 5th or 6th inning on Saturday did not play very good baseball the rest of that weekend. And I still felt like this is a team that had a chance to win that series. On the flip side, I thought Texas played great, and LSU still had a chance to win the series. So what that tells me is just how good this LSU team can be, that they played, I thought, a pretty blah brand of baseball the last game and a half, and they still had a chance. So, I look at this team overall, and I look at the middle with Monster Milam, and I thought he was sensational defensively. Barrett Jones defensively. I think the offense will have some better bats this weekend. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a sweep. And I know that's kind of a tall task against a solid team in the SEC, but I think they're going to come out pretty motivated this week. And we certainly saw that against the Cajuns a couple of nights ago.
The Cajuns that were throwing a dude through 72 miles. You have a 9
Who
spot
was
in the
that?
first. What's that?
Was that Dylan Twit for them throwing 72?
Bro, 72 miles an hour from the left. It was.
Ouch.
Yeah, man.
Was that the one that Barrett Jones hit to downtown?
Yeah, I was about that. The definition of a no doubter. Hey, the other game tonight is Florida Ole Miss. That series gets underway. Florida, man. First, before we go into tonight's game, what's going on with Florida?
The big thing with them is it's kind of like, the same deal with A&M to some degree. They've got some injuries. They haven't been able to overcome it. They actually looked pretty good the first 2 weeks of the season. But, they didn't have Liam Peterson over the weekend against Georgia. I tend to think Georgia's a heck of a lot better than what we're probably all giving them credit for. I think they've been awesome. But, when you don't have Liam Peterson, you don't have Pierce Coppola, you've got, a couple other arms on the bench. You got Kate Curlin, who's still hobbled coming back from an injury. They got exposed a little bit against Georgia. So, Peterson is back this weekend. To what degree and in what capacity to be determined. But when you're in the SEC and you're 0-6, I mean, you better win some games because, I mean, you start out 1-8. I'm just not liking your chances of turning things around, especially for the second straight year. You're not going to sneak up on anybody after what happened last year.
Yeah. You mentioned Georgia up to number 3 in the country, and this is kind of one of those sneaky good series because Auburn's gotten themselves all the way up, knocking on the door of the top 10. I know they're ranked 11th right now. Which way do you see that one going in Athens with Georgia and Auburn?
I got to go with Georgia. I mean, they've just been insane the last couple of weeks. I mean, if it wasn't for Tennessee, you could argue they're the best team in the country. I mean, their offense with Robbie Burnett and Rylan Zaborowski, their 2 transfers. Again, Wes Johnson just continues to be the portal destroyer. I mean, other than Jay, that guy does as good a job as anybody in evaluations. Those 2 transfers from UNCG and Miami, Ohio, respectively, have been fantastic for Georgia. The scary thing about Georgia is they really have not pitched at an elite level yet, and that's coming at some point. So I think Georgia takes care of business at home in that one.
Oklahoma's at Bama. You buying Oklahoma?
I'm buying its front-end pitching. I mean, I was just kind of writing in this column I'm working on that, Tyson Witherspoon, I mean, you could argue he's one of the top 2 or 3 pitchers in college baseball right now. I mean, he could end up being the top. I mean, 54 strikeouts, 7 walks so far this season. Teams are hitting around 170 against him. It's elite stuff. They've got, other nice options in the rotation. They've got a good bullpen. And, OU's offense just continues to get it done. Skip told me in the fall, he was like, hey, I don't think we're going to have some high-flying offense that's going to hit triple-digit bombs, but what we have is a team that I feel like can manufacture runs. And they've been able to do that. So I think Oklahoma is the best, not flashy team in college baseball.
That's an interesting way to put it. Texas gets a breather against Missouri. God bless Paul Maneri. He's got to host Tennessee this weekend. I don't think it's getting any better. You think, what would you say is a ceiling for Maneri at South Carolina here in year 1?
I mean, at this point, if they could just find a way to get in the regional discussion, that would be a positive development.
Yeah.
I would say this, too. Keep an eye on Missouri in Columbia this weekend. That is a sleepy place, man, for a road team. Let's not forget, Florida got swept in Columbia last year. And I actually thought Missouri, you could tell that you probably saw all the games in person, but I actually thought Missouri, for how much better LSU is in Missouri actually played decent in that series, it felt like. So that could be a sneaky one in Columbia this weekend.
You used the right adjective. Not only was it sleepy, is it a sleepy place in Columbia, but it was a sleepy performance by LSU that weekend against Missouri, Kendall, which is why last week I picked LSU to lose a series to Texas. It was not impressive. It's like you go take that on the road against a top 10 team, it's going to bite you, and lo and behold, it did. So,
I really think Jay Johnson he kind of likes what happened last weekend. I know he would never come out and say that.
Sure.
But, sometimes it's nice early in the season for your team to kind of go, oh, hey, we're not all that. If we don't play to our level, we're going to lose a series.
That's a good point. Kendall Rogers, D1Baseball.com. He's on Twitter at Kendall Rogers. Y'all give him a follow. Okay, outside of the league, what's a weekend series that you're keeping an eye on nationally?
Well, we've talked so much about the SEC teams like Florida, A&M, et cetera, that have struggled. How about the series starting this tonight in Charlottesville with Virginia and Stanford? Virginia, preseason number 2 team in the country. They're 12-11, 3-6 in the ACC. This is a big weekend for them. If they lose that series, they're in deep trouble. So that's the one in the ACC that, off the top of my head is probably the biggest one. I think kind of looking around the country, Arkansas, Vanderbilt in the SEC is obviously a big one. But, Oregon State's at Nebraska, and kind of a bizarre, out-of-conference series.
Right.
And then the Big 12, Baylor at Arizona is actually really interesting. Baylor is having a nice comeback season under Mitch Thompson. And Arizona, they've been outstanding since I saw them in Houston a few weeks ago. Chip Hill has those guys playing really well.
Make sure you read all about it. Conference races in full swing. D1Baseball.com is where you get all the info. He's on Twitter at Kendall Rogers. Always appreciate it, man. Thanks for the time.
You got it, brother. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
You do the same. We're brought to you by Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, Hardy Plank vinyl siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters as well. I tell you all the time about the tangible products that Relief Windows sells, but those are a commodity. The differentiator for Relief Windows is the intangibles. It's the experience, the quality, and the service with Relief Windows that always sets them apart. Brandon Holly says to me often, I've repeated it to you. He says, as a business owner, you have to be willing to spend your last dollar to make your customer happy. When that's the mindset that drives every piece of your business, it's no longer about the commodity, because anybody can sell you windows. It's about how they treat you when they're in your home, the level of care when they're measuring or installing, the service after the sale. If you do need service on your windows for whatever reason, is it a true lifetime warranty at Relief Windows? The answer emphatically is yes. It's Relief Windows. ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters as well. ReliefWindows.com. Appreciate Kendall for being here. If you missed Mike LaTulip last hour, he was really good as well from the field of 68. We kind of previewed the March Madness games. March Madness resumes here in about 40 minutes from right now. 4 of the Sweet 16 games will get underway, 3 involving SEC teams. And, of course, tomorrow you'll have 4 SEC teams in action, including Kentucky against Tennessee in a Sweet 16 matchup. So I know there's a lot of people who love the Cinderella. I'm not one of them. It's fun to watch the Cinderellas in the opening rounds, but by the time you get to, and this bears out actually, if you go look at TV ratings over the years, when you have the lower-seeded, smaller school Cinderellas, that's not what brings the casual fan to college basketball. It's when you've got Duke and Kansas and North Carolina. It's what people want to see. So give me the Blue Bloods. Let's see how it goes with the Sweet 16 getting underway tonight. Of course, got LSU baseball, 90 minutes away from first pitch. A lot going on. Love this time of year, man. I love the springtime just because it's as great as football is, and I love it, and we all do. You know, maybe it's just me, just because of what I do professionally, but during the fall, you are very deep on one thing. Like, you know everything about the one thing. In the spring, it's just very wide. There's so much going on, man, and it's there's always something. And, of course, today, opening day in Major League Baseball. Got, as we just mentioned, LSU, Mississippi State tonight. The Sweet 16's going on. Got NBA playoffs that are about to get underway. So, great time of year, man. And we'll be here for all of it. Glad to have you hanging. All right, let me knock out a quick break, y'all. We'll come back. Give you a little final thumbnail preview and prediction for LSU and Mississippi State. You want to get questions or comments in, email us, tweet us, or text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400, or you can jump in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Not going to break. It's AFR.
AFR.
Miss Teresa over at Clegg's earlier this week sent me a list of all the inventory that they have coming in this week, and my goodness, they are just bursting over there in their greenhouses. It's incredible. And it makes sense. I mean, it's the springtime. It's when people are getting out there and enjoying this beautiful weather and getting in the garden. Listen, Friday and Saturday, we're expecting some rain, so maybe this is the day here, or Friday before the rain comes, to get by Clegg's Nursery and to buy those flowers. They're bursting with blooms, begonias, marigolds. They got vegetable plants as well, geraniums. It's a huge flower that adds a pop of color to your containers. You want to plant a garden, they got Johnny Naylor seeds. I love the concept of a rose bush. They got 80 varieties of rose bushes. So if you love having roses, how about you have rose bushes at your home in the front yard or the back to add some accent, some color? They got it all for you at Clegg's Nursery. Not sure what to plant? They can help. Just get on by and just plant something. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Rolling along through the 5 o'clock hour. Otterlocks here in about 10 minutes from right now. Jimmy will be here. LSU against Mississippi State. We've talked a little bit here about, a good bit today about LSU and Mississippi State, Tigers and Bulldogs. Jay Johnson met with reporters yesterday. It was interesting, all the conversations about the bullpen. I think LSU will do well. Mississippi State's throwing Evan Sierra tonight, and LSU has seen him before. So 2 years ago, Sierra pitched in the game in Baton Rouge, a game LSU won, and he gave up 5 runs on 5 hits in 2 innings pitched. So not great. He also pitched last year against LSU and also didn't fare super great. He went 3 innings, allowed 3 runs and 5 hits. He struck out 1, he walked 2. My thought is LSU offensively should be okay in this ballgame. I am worried about game 2. While I think Ianson has pitched well, I don't know another way to say it. Maybe I'll work on this. I think he's been effective but not efficient. He's thrown a lot of pitches and not gotten deep in the game, although his numbers typically been pretty good. I know he's had these bumpy innings of course, getting down 5-0 against Nebraska in the game in Frisco. But I worry about game 2. I think State with Pico Cone starting in game 2 gives them an edge. And then if you get into a rubber match situation in game 3, I mean it's baseball. It's one game of baseball where what if your starter has the runs that day or just doesn't have a feel of the ball? I mean, it's baseball. You could hit the ball 400 feet and it's out. You could hit the ball 4 feet and you get on base. That's baseball. With apologies to Roger Cato for the accent. So you never wanted to come down to 1 like that, but I think that's kind of what we're staring at. I think LSU wins tonight. I think they win handily. I like Mississippi State in game 2. I think if you're Chris Lemonis, it's why you're holding Pico Cone, is to give yourself an advantage in that game, to split the first 2, and then see where you are for game 3 and how it plays out. I think the Tigers Kendall picked LSU to sweep this weekend. Now, he also picked LSU to sweep Missouri, and I went, just because predicting a sweep is a very tough thing to do. I mean, State went to Oklahoma last week and took 1 game. And there were 3 very different games. So for LSU, it's pretty obvious. You're going to get into a situation inevitably where you're going to have to rely on your bullpen to go get outs. And can they do it? And I don't know the answer to that. I certainly can't confidently answer it to the affirmative. But I will be so interested to see if after the experience last week, if Jay Johnson alters his approach at all with Zach Cowan and with Kason Evans. Because regardless of what you say, and I know what he said, and he likes his guys, and he trusts them, and he puts them out there because he thinks he can get out. He also doesn't have another option. Like, you got who you got. Excuse me, I sneezed. But if they do hypothetically get into a situation here in game one where you have a big lead and Anderson gets you through 6, does he do the same thing he did last week? Does he go to Cowan or does he hold Cowan? Because I think, inject truth serum into his arm, you get him in a candid moment, and you ask Jay, knowing what he knows how it plays out, I think he probably would have tried to go piece together game one in those final 4 innings instead of burning Zach Cowan. Because, my goodness, if you had Zach Cowan when you were up 5-2 in game 2, you hand him the ball to bridge to Kason Evans, you win that series. Would anybody object to that? I don't think so. Especially seeing what you saw from Cowan and Evans in that series, you give those two guys a 3-run lead, my guess is you're holding that lead. Maybe you win that series. So do they change anything? It's worth watching it this weekend as it plays out. Jay was asked about Kason Evans extending in that relief role against Texas.
He's going to be a starter here, obviously. The pitch mix allows that. The talent allows that. I think this is such a big jump from high school baseball to this, and the intensity of the pitches that he has thrown. You can't go from like 0, let's say 30 to 80. I thought he was just efficient. His pitch mix allows for him to extend. But we have to do that correctly. That's like, can't get a better guy than Kason Evans. So you got to take care of him too.
Love it. Kason Evans, I would say today, would be the inside track guy to be your Friday guy next year. Cade Anderson's a draft eligible sophomore. If he's gone, then it's would we agree? Unless you go get someone in the portal, Evans or William Schmidt would be those guys, and you could roll your eyes about Schmidt, but you would have rolled your eyes about Cade Anderson last year at this point too when he was getting roughed up in conference play. So yeah, he's going to be a starter, but right now, if he's your most valuable reliever, use him in that role because Lord knows you need relievers. All right, lineup is posted. We'll get to that in a second. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gents, if you're thinking of popping the question, Lee Michaels has helped Louisianians get engaged for 40 years. The best selection with 9 locations. It's the perfect blend. You go to a big box store, it's going to be cookie cutter and impersonal. You go to a boutique jeweler, the selection isn't going to be as good, and you're going to overpay. Lee Michaels is that perfect blend. They're small enough to give you that personalized service, the amazing thing they call the Lee Michaels experience. But because they buy for 9 stores, they're buying in bulk, they can give you the selection and the pricing. And if they don't have what you want, they'll get it. And if they can't get it, they'll make it. It's Lee Michaels. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Thrill her with a gift in the red box. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay. I think this is exactly what we talked about in hour 1, how the lineup is. So it's out. Curiel Jones-Dickinson, no surprise there at the top. Josh Pearson will DH and bat cleanup. Milam and Brown will bat 5-6. Hernandez behind the plate. Reeves at third. Stanfield in center. So like we assumed with Sierra starting, the right-hander, Jay is loading the lineup with his left-handed bats, which means Brown and right, Pearson DHing Reeves at third base. It helps that Reeves mashed a mammoth home run on Tuesday night as well. Dude's awesome. We've talked about it all season. Higher ceiling for Reeves. It's about comfortability here, and they're going to platoon Reeves and Braswell at third until it feels like it's not worth platooning because you're taking someone worthy off the field. So that's how they'll line it up tonight. Curiel Jones-Dickinson, Pearson, Milam, Brown, Hernandez, Reeves, Stanfield. That's your lineup for LSU tonight against Mississippi State. Muse, did you see if State's lineup is posted, by the way?
Let me look real fast.
Because I'm curious I'm curious if Highfield is catching in this game tonight, coming off the injury. If you missed it in hour one.
No lineup for them yet.
No lineup? Okay. So their catcher, Highfield's a really good defensive catcher. He got hit in the face last week. They replaced him with Joe Powell, and there's just a dramatic drop-off defensively from Highfield to Powell. So if Highfield's not playing, I would say look for LSU to be even more aggressive on the bases. And then Ace Reese is the other one to watch. He leads them in homers and doubles and RBI. He's a really good hitter, but he was hobbling around last week with a leg injury. I mean, he's their third baseman. I mean, it was described to me by someone at the game as like it was like Kirk Gibson, like limping around the bases for the Dodgers in '88. So just a couple of things worth keeping an eye on from the Mississippi State perspective as this series gets underway here in a little more than an hour from right now. Moose, you got a pick? Did you make your pick on Musso at the box?
I did. I took LSU 2 out of 3.
Okay.
I like that it's at home mainly in this one.
What do you think about what Lamonis is doing with the pitching?
I'll be honest. I mean, you brought up the 2 outings for Evan Sierra. I think both of those were actually in Thursday night starts as well against LSU. Well, last year was a Friday.
It was a spot start last year too. Like it was
Dome was hurt. Yes. The other time they fed him to Paul Skeens. Which is, hey, they won that series behind Cade Smith the next day. But they're like, here, kid, go out there. We're going to get run ruled. It's fine.
This is not going to go well for you.
Yeah, and that's how it
Just take it. You'll have better days.
Yeah. I'm not overly.
Fed him to Paul.
They did, man. I mean, I'm not surprised because this is just what he's done the last 2 years against LSU. Forced his hand last year. But, I mean, Pico Khan's been awesome. And, roll with him, match him up, try to steal one.
I know, man.
It makes sense. So, but again, LSU's the better team top to bottom, so we'll see how they go.
Kendall picking a sweep.
Yeah, I don't love that.
I don't love that either.
Kendall,
he picked him to sweep Missouri.
He did. He picked him to sweep Florida last year, too. I'm still scarred by that one.
It didn't go great. Not much went great last year.
No.
Okay, all right, let's grab a break. Come back. We'll do Otter Locks, get Jimmy's picks. Everything, by the way, all the picks. Hester's pick and roll. Chris Marler's Big Picks Energy. Otter Locks, all the basketball picks. They're up already. They're free at LouisianaSports.net under the sports betting page, so go check them out there. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark and the Renaissance. Watermark Downtown, Renaissance Southtown. 2 amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge. Love telling you, of course, about our friends over at the Renaissance Hotel. Right there on Bluebonnet, across from the Mall of Louisiana and Perkins, or you know where it is. Giant, tall, sprawling hotel. I'd actually recommend, if you've never done it, go into the Renaissance and go to the top. Because even in the elevator lobby, so if you just go to the top of the hotel and you're in the lobby by the elevators, they have these gigantic, like, floor-to-ceiling windows when you can see out of the entire city. Like, you can see, it's got to be the highest point anywhere. And well, maybe some of the, anyway, it's one of the highest points of the city. It's got to be. You can see past LSU, past the river. It's amazing to see the entire city from that point of view. But the Renaissance is gorgeous. Tallulah's there inside the Renaissance Hotel if you want to have dinner or a cocktail, indoor-outdoor flow. They've got TV, so no doubt they'll have the game on tonight and games on all weekend if you want to go check that out. It's the Renaissance Hotel. Check them out, Renaissance, Baton Rouge.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment. Dave's back on. Coors Light. Choose chill.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. Not just healthcare for your lifestyle. Their expertly trained nurses will come into your home providing expert level care. It's Decision Critical. DecisionCriticalBR.com. Okay, let's find out what we're betting on tonight. We got plenty. Time for Outer Locks.
Outer Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance. Now's the time to get that AC unit checked before it really gets hot. Normally $179, just $79 when you mention Outer Locks. Total Maintenance, 480-1000.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Otter, how are you?
Good, Matt. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. Ready for a little LSU Mississippi State Sweet 16 tonight. Let's go. Let's get it.
Yeah. Man, we were close. Turned the ball over with a chance to hit the money line. So went to overtime. We got the push. And I mean, it's and then we got the hook on the Pacers game last night. But c'est la vie, back in, instead of a plus 3.5 units, it's a wash. So there you go.
Yeah.
So
that's why we come back the next day, Otter, and we get right back after it.
That's right. Let's get to it. My favorite play tonight's Florida Gators. So, both of these teams had scares, but I just think that Florida is the best team. Duke might be, but they haven't played the schedule that Florida has. That's for sure. But I like the way Florida responded. UConn was ready, man. Even though they struggled and they were into it in the game with 2 minutes to go, they hit some big shots and weren't hesitant to do so. They're much deeper. Everybody knows that than Maryland. Although these timeouts can, stoppages of time can kind of, not let depth be as much of a factor. But come on, man. Golden's got to know this, and they got to try and do some extra pressure and things like that. Both teams got a scare, but I think the team that's got a chance to win it all is going to benefit from it more. My favorite play is Florida minus the points.
All right. You like Alabama and Arizona also tonight?
Boy, it takes some guts to bet against Duke right now. But This is, we had Kenny White. Kenny White, his company, they set the lines. The sports books, the casinos used to hire him for their line service, and he provided all the line service. He says, this line is completely inflated because we know they're going to get Duke money in. They're going to bet it, and it's hard to get in front of that Duke train. Can they be like a UConn run where they just blast everybody?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. So 9.5, Matt. It might even go to 10. That's just way too many. I know it's an unpopular pick right now, but It's an inflated line. I'm going to take Arizona plus the points.
Okay.
Alabama and BYU, highest scoring team against the quickest team. You know what that means, huh? And you know what? Neither one of them could spell defense. So it is going to be up and down. It's the highest total since Loyola Marymount back in the day. I like Bama, and I like the over. So this thing is, I mean, unless they go completely cold, I mean, they love to shoot it up quickly. So it is going to be quick. Both teams love to run, so tons of points. I think it will score 200 tonight in this one. So we're going to take Alabama. It's coming down. It went from 5.5 down to 4.5, of course, on the half by the hook. But Alabama and also the over. I'm waiting to see if McMillan is playing for Texas Tech in the late game tonight. Also waiting to see if Fierro is playing for Arkansas. So I think McMillan might be more of a chance, but that's a big piece to what they're doing. So I'm kind of waiting to see if McMillan's playing tonight. I'm going to play Texas Tech, but we won't find out till a little bit later.
All right, Florida, Alabama, and the over. Arizona. Those are your auto locks for tonight. Rufino's tomorrow?
Rufino's. Fly the week.
Work.
Get you some, Hanny.
Have a great night, Otter. Good luck. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, that's Jimmy Ott. It's after further review. Muse, Paulie, appreciate you fellas. Tiger baseball getting started in about an hour. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.